You're listening to Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Dark Matter Radio Network. Don't run and hide. Don't be afraid. Don't turn away any longer. The truth will set you free. And now, your host, the captain of conspiracy, the prince of paranormal. This ain't your daddy's radio network show. This is Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
What? What's up? Here we go. And I mean it. Fade to Black. Thursday, March 6th. 64 days into the new year. As always, we are live from the JP Motorsports Studio right here in Burbank, California. For KJCR and the Dark Matter Radio Network, I am your host, Jimmy Church. Let's get this show going. It's going to be a crazy one tonight. Buckle in. Hey, did I say I love my Starbucks? That's what my daughter say, Starbucks. Love my Starbucks. Let's get this show cracking. We've got a lot to get in tonight. And we had a crazy show last night. And so I've got a few comments. Let's get it cracking. Let's go right now. Today, guitarist David Gilmour, a true master. He can spank the plank. David Gilmour, Pink Floyd, is 68 years old. That guy has changed more lives than just about any musician. David Gilmour, Wes Montgomery. Dead guy birthday today. Born in 1923. The smooth bumper music, by the way, that I play at the end of the show every night, right before the end, like second to last. That bumper music is Doug's tribute to Wes Montgomery. It's called West Coast. True guitar jazz master. Also, born today, you ready for this? In 1475, Michelangelo. You got to dig a little deep to find that one. Michelangelo, 1475. And what is this? This is 2014. What does that make him? You do the math. My brain hurts after last night's show. Follow us on Twitter, at JChurchRadio. Follow us on Twitter. I missed a bunch of Twitter questions last night. I apologize for that. I won't do it tonight. At JChurchRadio. Facebook, YouTube. I don't know what's going on with YouTube, but it is going crazy. I think we've, in the last week, 275 subscribers added. Go figure. I don't know. You love it, apparently. So go. It is KJCR Faded Black on YouTube, by the way. Shoot me an email throughout the show tonight. Jimmy at Jimmy Church Radio. We have a lot of great guests. I'm going to talk about this after the break. But never with any guest have I had email 2 and 3 days in advance of that guest appearance. And tonight with Michael Horn, Billy Meier, I have got a lot of email. That's all I'm going to say right now. A lot of email. It's going to be a great show. Tonight, if we have time, we'll take some calls. It's going to be a crazy show. And I have the feeling that Everybody's going to be doing a lot of listening, not a lot of talking. But if we have time, 323-825-5045, that is the call-in number. The bumper music tonight, as always, is Doug Aldrich. I want to talk about a couple of things before I take a quick break. I'm very, very, very proud of our forums. And remember one thing, when we started this show, we started we didn't even have a forums page. And look what it has turned into. The traffic on the website and everything is great and everybody is contributing, I understand. But the contributions that are going on that forums page, I am so proud of. Without naming names, maybe I should go down and just make a list of who is the interesting posters. But Skinny Bob comes to mind just because of his name. He can't forget it. But I'm very proud of the forums, and I spent a bunch of time over there today and just reading through, and it's just amazing to me. So thank you. Thank you. We put them there for you, kind of for me too, so I can go there and have something to do, when I ain't got nothing to do. But the forums are just freaking fantastic, and I love it. I do have to comment about the alien pics hoax stuff that I did on last night's program. So much email and stuff came in about it, and I said last night, you're going to be upset. You're going to get angry. At least one of these pics you thought was the real deal, if not all of them. So what I did, and if you're a new listener to the show tonight, I understand, and you don't know what I'm talking about, just go over to jimmychurchradio.com. What we have done, let me explain really quick. For everybody that has missed a show, you know that we put up galleries for each guest on every show. Those galleries are on the homepage. So what we've done to kind of keep things clear for everybody, and we're doing this for you. Now think about this. As the shows post to YouTube, and by the way, podcasting is coming. We've got the applications done. We're working on some of the technical issues, and it is happening. But for podcast too, as well in the future, all of those galleries are archived at jimmychurchradio.com. So if you go over to the home page where it says home, the home tab, scroll over that, you will see the list of shows with galleries. They're all right there. How's that? That's pretty cool, isn't it? Well, if you go over there right now, and for anybody that missed the show last night, go over to jimmychurchradio.com, scroll over the homepage, go to Bob Schroeder, the guest from last night, which was an absolute amazing show, and I'm going to comment about that briefly in a second. But go to the Bob Schroeder Gallery. Click on that. And there you will see at the bottom of the page the alien pics. And the reason why they're on the Bob Schroeder page is because this show will be archived and up on YouTube and on the podcast. So, and also it will probably repeat. It might be the best of show on Monday. We'll talk to Keith about that. But so when you listen to the show later and that alien little episode from last night, it needs to be there. So that's where those pics are. Okay, they're in the Bob Schroeder Gallery. Now, what I did today, I want you to scroll down and look at those alien pics. What I did today, I went back and I added details on each one of those pics and what they are there, what each pic is. The pic on the left is the hoax. The pic on the right shows you where that pic came from. And there's a brief description. I think I'm going to go back as time allows, and I'm going to put some more details there, written details. Also, there's a bunch of additional pics that can be up there for descriptive purposes, and I may add those too. There's a bunch, and I could turn that gallery into 30, 40 pics. I don't want to do that. There's no need for it. Just two. Two is good enough, the hoax and one. But so there you go. Those pics are there. Now the reaction from that segment on the show last night was, Jimmy, how can you do this to us? Why would you do this? I had other people said that, the truth hurts. I get that too as well. And then I had other emails that came in a bunch. Jimmy, it's it's disinformation. These are real pics, and they're trying to. You know what? No, just stop. Okay, I could put up pics that I think are real, but that's not what I was doing last night. I stumbled over a bunch of information this week, and I remember, and I went back and I thought, you know what, this has been irritating me for a long time, and to see, this is a tough issue to get people to take seriously. And then when you have stuff like that up there that is blatantly not real, that makes me angry. And you need to be aware of it, that somebody is showing you something that's just, quite frankly, not real. And you just need to be aware. Okay? All right? So that's what it is. I've got some other stuff I want to get to really quick before we get to Michael Horn and take this first break. Second, Bart Cyberl, tomorrow's show. It's going to be probably as controversial as this show tonight. And it's about the Apollo hoax. So get ready. Do a little homework on Bart. Bart Cyberl is the guy that just go do some research on Bart Cyberl. And his video, if you get a chance, watch some of it or all of it tomorrow. Something strange happened on the way to the moon, I think, is the title of that. And check that out. But tomorrow's show is going to be every bit as nuts as tonight's show. Next, I had and I don't know where this was coming from. It's weird because I was thinking the same thought, and it's synergistic, I guess. When you put out thoughts, then things happen. But I had a bunch of requests over the last couple of weeks, and then some stuff popped up on Bell Gab today, and so I thought, why does this all happen at the same time? And I had a bunch of email over the last week about some of Art's past guests, and would I get them on the show? And a bunch of names have come up. Single Seven being one, Bob Lazar, John Lear, Mel from Mel's Hole, David Adair, David Lewis Anderson, which I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, that came up. And this is the thing with that. Those aren't my stories. They're just not. They're not. That has nothing to do with me. That's all classic Art Bell stuff. And going out and reaching out to some of these people to get them to come on to my show, it doesn't feel right to me. It feels a little dirty. And it's like you want to date your best friend's sister. You just don't do it. And if you do, you got to go to your best friend and ask permission. And I just don't know. So, Keith, I was talking to you before the show. That's what I wanted to mention. Did we cross that line? And, and I just think it's really it's not my history. As much fun as it would be to get any of these guys on the show and girls on the show, it doesn't belong to me, and it's not mine. And I think it would really offend Art. And you know what? It might not. Art just may be listening right now and shoot us an email and go, Jimmy, do whatever you want. Doesn't matter to me. Have fun with it. That's a possibility. But to me, it just feels a little dirty. And so if I don't do it, That's my explanation, and I hope that everybody is good with that. Okay, all right. There's reasons to the madness, and that's the best way that I can put it. I wanted to make a real quick comment about what's going on over in Crimea, and I don't think it would be right if I didn't, but because this is occupying my mind and everybody else's right now, and this is how I feel, and this is me. I guess I'm one of those guys that likes to run across the field and frolic in the mist with my wife and pretend that the world is a great place. But I just have a feeling in my heart of hearts that it's all going to be good. And I really hope that brother doesn't shoot brother over there. That's how I feel. I just can't fathom invading your own, your neighbor, your brother, a former state or republic and everything. I just don't see it happening. And that's how I feel. I think cooler heads are going to prevail. And I just wanted to get that out there. It's something that I think about. It's just going on all day long with all forms of media. And that's that. With that, you are listening to Fade to Black on the Dark Matter Radio Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Shoot me an email. Got a couple already. Just came in. Strange animal found in Argentina. I might have to read that after the break. Huh. Shoot me an email to Jimmy@JimmyChurchRadio.com. Follow us on Twitter. Dark Matter Radio Network. Fade to Black. We'll be back right after this with Michael Horn, the U.S. media representative for Billy Meier. Don't touch that mouse, everybody. Stay with us.
You're listening to Jimmy Church Fade to Black on the Dark Matter Radio Network.
What's up, revolutionaries? It's me, Jimmy Church. Do you have an IRS or state tax issue? Well, I did, and I called national tax experts. My problems were fixed, done, fini, and man, I got to tell you, it was a relief. National tax experts are a recognized tax office that services clients in all 50 states. It doesn't matter where you live. Give them a call. I'm telling you, they take the time to understand each and every client's individual financial status as well as their financial goals. And that's exactly what you need, my brother, when you're taking on the evil three-letter. So, seriously, give them a call today at 1-877-909-5444. Again, 1-877-909-5444, or go check out their website, www.nattaxexperts.com. That's NATTAXEXPERTS.com. Tell them Jimmy sent you.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com
on the Dark Matter Radio Network.
I love my job. Fade to Black. KJCR on the Dark Matter Radio Network. Thursday. Your host, Jimmy Church. All around the world, man. Everybody coming in. Some of the countries, it's amazing who listens to this show every night. I'm serious. By bunches. It's nuts. Keep the email coming. Jimmy@JimmyChurchRadio.com. I know you're going to have some questions tonight for our next guest. I had just said before the break, by the way, that an email just came in. I just got to read this really quick. It says, "Hi, Jimmy. I'm sending you this. It's making lots of noise in the Latin American community. Strange animal found in Argentina. I apologize in advance for sending a link of a video in Spanish. but mostly it talks about how people think. If it turns out to be a hoax, I'll let you know. For now, it's just freaky. All right, so I'll see what I can do about getting this video up before the show ends. Again, it's in Spanish, but I think, what did they say? A picture says 1,000 words, speaks 1,000 words, is 1,000 words. I think that's all we need. So I'll see if I can get that up. That's from MSMC, and so there you go. And I'll see if I can get that up before the end of the show. All right, our next guest. Controversial, yeah. But I don't think that's the point. But Michael Horn is the U.S. media representative for Billy Meier, and I'll get to that in a second. But there are three things, and he's here now. He's listening. There are three things that got me into this world that we all share together every night. And those three things, and if you listen to this show enough, you know. It's the Betty Andreessen, the Andreessen Affair, and the Interrupted Journey, that book, and Billy Meier. And 30 years ago, a friend of mine, he's listening right now, I'm sure, in Las Vegas. His name is Dale. Introduced me to his brother. And older gentleman. This is 30 years ago. But I discovered in his brother's office a pile of Billy Meier books. And one of them was a big color, huge tabletop book. And I didn't know what I was looking at. Opened it up and was amazed at what I was looking at. He had videos. We ended up looking at some of those that day. But Billy Meier, along with Betty Andreessen, and the Betty and Barney Hill, the Interrupted Journey, those three things changed the way I looked at the world. And so Billy Meier is somebody for me that, and I need to be very, very direct in what I'm saying, is somebody that opened my eyes. Now, what followed over the next few decades with Billy Meier, that's open to interpretation, and you be the judge, as I will tonight, as you know. And so there's the side of Billy Meier for me that is near and dear to my heart, caused life-changing epiphanies for Jimmy Church. And then there's the other side where the wind is taken out of your sails. And that's why Michael Horn is a guest on this show tonight. Michael Horn is the authorized American media representative for the Billy Meier contacts, which he has researched since 1979. Michael is the co-producer of a new documentary, As the Time Fulfills, which presents an abundance of ironclad, prophetically accurate scientific evidence that irrefutably authenticates the Billy Meier case. He is the writer and co-producer of the award-winning feature-length documentary, The Silent Revolution of Truth, as well as the writer, producer, and narrator of the DVD, The Meier Contacts, the key to our future survival. I would like to welcome to Fade to Black, Mr. Michael Horn. Michael, are you with us, sir?
I'm with you, Jimmy. How are you?
I am fantastic. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Now, again, we did a sound check before the show. Let's just watch that headset tonight. It sounds great. It sounds amazing. Don't fiddle with it because it sounds perfect. Okay.
Sitting on my hands.
Sitting on your hands. Okay. Now, I know that you just heard my intro, and we have talked throughout the week, and you know my position solidly where I'm coming from with Billy. And so there's no reason to get into that again, but I will say this, and I say this to every single guest on this show, and it's a tradition that won't ever change, which is This is a long-form conversation. It's just you and I sitting in my living room. I have no questions. I have nothing in front of me. Let's see where this conversation goes. Tonight you're going to have your handful. But the thing is this. I know that you're well equipped and you're used to it, and I'm representing Billy Meier through the ups and downs that he's gone through. I'm sure that you've been confronted and dealt with every single issue that you need to, So on that side of things, it's going to be just fine. But like I said, he's a guy that and a subject that I hold very close to me, and still to this day, there are images in my mind that are burnt there from Billy that'll never ever go away, and that's probably the same for just about everybody in this field, and not in this field actually. So that being said, let's get things started. I don't have a direction or anything, but what I do want everybody to do, everybody's used to this, all the audience out there. There is a gallery that has now been uploaded and posted to jimmychurchradio.com. It's on the homepage, so everybody can head over there now. I'm scrolling down to look. Michael, you have sent us 8 images. We have posted them in the order that you sent them to us. I'm assuming you're sitting in front of a computer and looking at the gallery now.
I actually am.
Okay, so these are the 8 images, and when I do the request for these images with each guest, I say the same thing, but I want to be clear with all of the guests that we're not just throwing up whatever. That's not what we're doing. We make a request. What are the 8 things that you think are just totally relevant to the subject? And in this case, well, of course, it's Billy. And then one image. I want one image that is definitive. The one image that changed you. The one image that makes you scratch your head and go, And so that's one of these images here, and so we'll visit that in a second, and that's it. Now I'm glad these 8 that you've sent, I'm very familiar with all of them except for 1, 2, 3, number 5, which is the first one in the second row. So I know that we're going to spend some time on that because I've never seen this before this week. I know a little bit about it, but I didn't want you. I cut you off a couple of times this week when you wanted to, because I wanted to save it all for the show. I just don't want to know. I don't want to know. Let's talk about it in real time. Okay, so let's get started. And the first thing that for me, and I don't know if I've ever heard you say this before, so let's get it out there. How did you get associated with?
Say it again. I missed that.
Okay. How did you get associated with Billy Meier in 1979?
Okay. Well, as you know from the introduction, I've been looking into the.
Okay. We've just lost him. That is interesting. I will reset the Skype connection. Instead of going to a commercial break, I'll just reset it live in real time. Okay, let's go. You got to love it. Michael, are you there?
Yeah, I just, something got disconnected.
Okay.
I don't know if you heard the beginning of my answer. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you just fine. So I'll just reset the question. In 1979, how did you get associated with Billy Meier?
All right. So for about 21 years, I simply did everything on my own. I researched everything that was available to me. And in the year 2000, I paid my first visit to Meier in Switzerland, the first of my 14 trips there. And at that point, as I say, I met him for the first time and got a chance to talk to him. It wasn't until about 2003 or 4, actually 2002, 2003, I asked them if I could officially actually represent them in the U.S. media, English-speaking world. And they said, well, let's wait a while and see how things go. In 2004.
Okay, Michael,
sorry,
the audio is, the Skype connection still isn't right. Don't call me. I'm going to call you. Okay, so just stand by. It's not that big video. I'm going to call you right now.
All right.
You got to love it. Brilliant Skype connection all day today, and then suddenly issues. Okay.
The number you have reached is not even certain.
Okay. Now I've got you loud and clear. So back to
2004. We made an agreement for the first agreement between us, which would run for 7 years, and that was that I could and would represent their information the way they published it, without altering it. I had the right to agree or disagree. I had certainly the right to know or not know and to question everything, and also that I would do it voluntarily, meaning that I would not be charging them to be the representative, and they wouldn't be charging me or anything like that, that I could retain my autonomy and feel free to, question and doubt and anything else and just do the work as I saw fit. We renewed that agreement for another 7 years. After that expired, I think it was in 2011. So I'm into the second of the 7-year agreement to do what I do for them, which, as I said, I do for free, and I love doing it. It's the passion of my life, and it's because certainly having gone and spent time with Billy over 14 visits, all on my own dime and all the rest of that, and spent hours with him, his family, some of the 100 witnesses, some of the witnesses to the 14 assassination attempts, changing my jacket in the little shed where there's a bullet hole through the window from the last attempt in his life, and traveling around and going to one of the very famous locations where the woodpile photo was shot, and scoping out the land and trying to, and actually stuff I have never even published about trying to figure out how he could have hoaxed photos at that location. And people who, I kind of want to put this out there. As I tell you this, I think we have to ask ourselves why we're really interested in UFOs. Do we want to know the truth about this, or are we going to be content with hearsay, entertainment, speculation, and all of that? And if we find out that something is really true, what's it going to mean to us? So I've been very much motivated by that question, and I actually offer that question to anybody who talks to me or wants me to talk about UFOs and extraterrestrials, because quite frankly, the UFO part of it, though, I'm 100%. His stuff is authentic. We can get into that when we go to the photos and all that, but it's the least important part of this. And I don't mind letting that, develop in our conversation. Meier, as you know, Jimmy, from all the years that you've been familiar, Meier took well over 1,200 photos. Many other photos were never returned to him from the lab. There are films we never got to see because they were stolen. Lots and lots of stuff went on. I know the lead investigators in the case, Lee and Britt Elders. I knew Wendell Stevens. I've spent time with them. I've questioned them. I've done the stuff all of the critics have never done. Now, it's okay with me if people don't accept this case as being true, or all the rest of it. I get email every day from somebody here or there that is accusing Meier of being a cult leader and a liar and horrendous stuff. This man's my friend. I know this guy. I know this man, apart from everything else here. And I have my own personal experience, which I don't base the authenticity of the case on, but it's my experience. It was real. The important stuff, really, when we get into it, is in the information. And it couldn't be more pertinent than it is literally today with all the developments that are going on.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. Listen, towards the end there, I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to call you right back and get this reset. And there's no reason to do this all live on the air. But so anyway, I'll call you right back. We are live with Michael Horn, Billy Meier, and this is KJCR Fade to Black. And we'll be right back with Michael Horn right after this. Stay with us. 1-800-916-6232. That's the number you need to call when you are seeking spiritual enlightenment and searching for your true purpose here on earth. www.lovespellstoday.com. They provide psychic readings, love spells, reversal of spells, custom spells, chakra balancing, energy work. Divine guidance is just one phone call away. Call 1-800-916-6232 for your free psychic reading. I did. And tell them Jimmy sent you.
Hello, I'm Julie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
My name is Nick Dominguez. Hi, I'm Rex Dominguez, and I listen to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Jimmy, your preacher.
Amen. This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And this is Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
Yes.
We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
KJCR.
JimmyChurchRadio.com. Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will. On the Dark Matter Radio Network.
All right, everybody, we're back. KJCR, Faded Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Michael Horn. I've reset everything, and I think I've got some good audio. Let's see here. Let's try. I just got another message up. Are you there?
I are here.
Wonderful. Okay, it's good. I got.
Does it sound any better?
Yes, it's perfect. It's perfect.
Okay.
Okay. Now let's.
I won't move.
Okay. Yeah. Don't move. Okay. Now this is the thing, and I'm gonna reset this a little bit. What you said, one comment. Well, you said a few things, but right before the break, which was, it's really not about UFOs, and it's not about the pictures. It's about the message. Mm-hmm. And I understand that. That's okay. I can, and I'll let you expand on that. But I can assure you, Michael, for me, it's the opposite. And if it's the same for me, it's the same for everybody else. And let me, or mostly, why? It's not the message that we saw first, and it's not the message that introduced Billy Meier to the world. It's those pictures. And that's what, when anybody, I'm sorry? I said, when anybody thinks about Billy Meier, oops, they're not thinking about the message. They're thinking about those pictures. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's my, I just have to, I have to backpedal a little bit on that comment, because some of those photographs were life-changing for a lot of people, myself included. And
that's true.
And so
me too.
Yeah, the message came later, and we can certainly talk about that, and the message is fine, and so, but I want to address the some of the original photographs.
Sure.
That okay. Now let's before we get into the gallery, when he's taken over 1,200 pictures.
Correct.
The first, are there negatives for any of these photographs out there? Have you seen negatives? I mean, the only reason why I'm asking you directly a question like that, because I want to put the end to some of the rumors or some of the things because I've never seen a negative, and
sure.
So are there negatives out there?
I don't know if there are any left or if there are any in circulation, but you may be aware that, between 1978 and 1980, that the lead investigators took at least 4 of Meier's best photographs in first generation form, as far as I know, and they had them analyzed professionally. What they didn't do is they didn't let people in the UFO community participate in the investigation, which ticked off a lot of the people. And the reason for it was, and this is addressing the whole thing with the photographs, they wanted the analysis to be done by the top level people that were available who weren't associated with UFOs. And they took their photos to NASA and JPL, and they also had to sign privacy and non-disclosure agreements, even preventing who had looked at and who'd analyzed different things in some cases from being ever publicized. Now, Stanton Friedman was one of the people who wanted in on the Meier case.
Okay, hey Michael, I'm going to put you on hold again. The Skype is not working. I'm going to call you on your landline, and we're gonna go analog. Okay. So just pick up your phone in a second, and let me run some music really quick, and I'm going to call you right back. Bye.
Sure.
Sorry about that, everybody. I got to get this right. Fade to black. Be back with you in a second. Just stay with us.
This is William from La Crescenta, and I listen to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Jimmy Church.
My name is Alan, and I listen to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
He's always giving it to you straight.
JimmyChurchRadio.com on the Dark Matter Radio Network.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Matthew, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio, the revolution.
All right, everybody. Woo! KJCR, Fade to Black. Let's give this one more crack. You just got to love technology. Let's see what we got here. All right, Michael, you with us?
I'm here.
Okay. Oh, much better. Okay. All right. So I want to get right back. I don't know if I heard your answer correctly, but is there negatives? Are there negatives to these photographs? He's taken 1,200 pictures.
I don't know what still remains, but we can show you. I can take you with the gallery that you have right there, and I can show you something that I think anybody who wants to think about it for 20 seconds is going to understand the actual level of proof in the photographs, because it's a new result from the analysis of a photograph. If you'd like me to do that.
Okay. Well, maybe I missed. Are there negatives, though?
I don't know if any still remain, because I never had access to it. The analysis of the first generation and any negatives, etc., took place by about 1980. We're 34 years ago. And if there are any that still remain, I don't know. I was never interested in those negatives. I love the photographs, and I examined them, and I thought about them, and I looked at them, and I looked at the best attempts of skeptics to reproduce them, and I laughed at it. And I examined those photos fairly carefully, considering what was available. And these are 35 millimeter film photographs. And if I may, we can jump to this and see if this has this question at all. May I do that?
Yeah. Well, have you? I don't want to. If there is indeed no negatives, then we can move on. But have you ever asked? Have you ever asked if there's negatives?
No, it didn't. It didn't interest me because, to be perfectly blunt, I took a look at hundreds of photographs, and I thought about it. And I've done something that none of you folks have done. I've gone to Switzerland 14 times.
Right.
I've walked in the snow, in the cool springtime, and I tried to figure out how it was that this one-armed man who was renovating his home, raising 3 kids, working as a night watchman, and I looked all through his building, his home where he lives. I'm looking for special effects, and I'm looking for models, and I'm looking for a place where you can machine things. It doesn't exist. It never did, and I wasn't the first one to do that. Wendell and Lee and Britt. And these people, Lee and Britt went over there as skeptics. They're top-level private investigators. They work for Fortune 500 companies. And they came back and they said, well, 99.9%, this is the real deal. They thought it was a hoax when they went there, until at their first trip into London, where they had reserved no tickets. They flew out of L.A. on Tower Air, told nobody about it, and they're picked up by a CIA driver who takes them to Grosvenor House in London for the first of a good number of interrogations. Were in and out. The photographs that Meier gave them, the published material, were taken from them, taken into a separate room and copied, returned to them. Thank you very much, Mr. and Mrs. Elders and Colonel Stevens. Goodbye. We'll see you on your next trip. They were monitored every step of the way. And if you folks ever read or watch Wendell talking about the things that happened while they sat in the CIA office, and things that could not physically have occurred were occurring right there, how stuff that they saw put in a safe appeared in their bedroom the next morning and blew the mind of the CIA guy. I'm not concerned with negatives. I got past that. And I respect if people are worried about negatives, fine.
Well, no. I'm not speaking for anybody else. I'm speaking for me. That's all. If I was in your position, and I'm being straight up, if I'm in your position, that's if I'm going to represent somebody, I need to make sure I have bullets in my gun. And the first thing I would have, I'm just speaking for me, Michael. I have no questions. I have no agenda. So please understand. I'm just saying I would go, hey, Billy, check this out, man. I need some negatives. Just show me one. That's what I would do. But if they don't exist and he hasn't produced them, or he's sitting on them, or you don't know, or whatever, okay, that's fine. And
look, I'm going to
we can move on.
Tell you something that I would have only waited to the end of the show anyhow. I knew from my own investigation of this for many, many years this was real.
Uh-huh.
In 2011, while I was living in up in the mountains of Brazil in a little cabin, I came within 20 feet of one of their monitoring craft. I received information from them through Meier that warned me of a big trap that was set that I was about to walk into that would have hurt all of us.
Right.
We have it all date stamped and time. I know this is real. Now, can I satisfy everybody's questions or yours alone, even about negatives? Only to say no, never cared about them, don't to this day. It wouldn't mean anything to me. I can tell you from these photographs why they're real, and then if you want to say, well, I don't believe that, or let me criticize, that's fine.
Right.
But I, since this is why are we interested in UFOs? How are we going to know if this is true or false? And if we start with the physical evidence, the eye candy that got all of us into this, me too.
Right.
Then, yeah, it's a good place to start.
Right.
At least.
Right. Well,
can you tell me that anybody else in history has produced photographs of this clarity, quality, and this close to so-called unidentified flying objects? While all the
the answer is none. Yeah, I can answer. I mean,
they're all chasing lights in the sky, for gosh sakes, and this is what people make an industry out of. And quite frankly, it nauseates me. Because this is far more important than being a speaker on the rubber chicken circuit and generating oohs-nods, at UFO conventions.
Right. But you have to admit, your life would be a lot easier if you had a pile of 1,200 negatives to show the world.
No.
Why not?
What, my life would be a lot easier if when I publish the prophetically accurate scientific information that is ironclad, verified through international legal standard of copyright.
Sure.
He would understand that.
Yeah.
Not the photograph. The photographs. He could be taking photographs till the cows come home. You're still going to have people saying, "Well, I don't believe." Fine.
Well,
that's why I said you've got to eventually get to the reason for the case.
Sure.
But I am sure to serve you and your audience. And photographs you want, we've got 8 of them here, and each one has something unique about them.
Right.
Whenever you're ready.
Yeah. Again, and please remember, this show it's a friendly show, Michael. Calm down. It's okay.
I am. Just calm down.
but I have a very severe artistic photographic background. It's what I did in my life to pay the rent for years. I spent years in a dark room, and I know how important those are. Not only with proof of something in your case. For me, I never needed anything like that, but to reproduce the pictures again in the future, you've got to make it off of a negative. So, and my thing is, well, where are the negatives? And you're saying that there isn't any. Well, or Polaroids, but you said that they, which is fine, but you're saying that these were 35 millimeter. So if that's the case, and you're specifically saying 35 millimeter, not 70, not Hasselblad, not something else. Right. So then obviously, and believe me, your life would be a lot easier if you just had those. Now, let's get to these photographs.
Oh, right.
Let's talk about these. There are 8 here. Everybody go over to jimmychurchradio.com. They're right there. On the homepage, scroll down. Michael Horn, Billy Meier is the title on the gallery. Michael has so graciously sent us 8 of what he again were the most dominant, the 8. And so, Michael, you're looking at these 8 right now, and so let's start. Which one is the one? When I said send me the one, which one is that?
Actually, the funny thing is that these are just 8 of many incredibly good photos of Myers. I could have sent you many more.
Sure.
And I'm going to jump and make a leap over to the least likely one, which is number 8.
The one with the cross?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
now,
so let's open that one up. Go ahead.
Okay. I stood next to my partner, the director of The Silent Revolution of Truth, while we filmed Billy's photo book that contained a number of photos that were not generally in circulation. This was one of them. This is a photograph taken with a Kodak Bellows type camera from the 1940s. My father had one of those cameras. I even have a web page up where, if people want to look, I have a photo of the camera and the whole thing. This was taken in India, as was photo number 1. Now, what we see here, and of course it's not the clearest photo in the world, but I've seen it more than one time when I've been there, is someone sitting in the foreground with a spire from a structure right behind their hat on their left side to, visually to our right, and above them is a cross. Now, this photograph doesn't have any tape on it. It hasn't been tampered with. It is an old Kodak photograph. What is this of? This is of Billy Meier sitting on the ground, cross-legged, in India, and the cross in the sky was allegedly, we'll give everybody that, generated as a hologram by a woman named Asket. Asket is a woman who started to tutor or mentor Meier when he was around 16 years of age. And she met with him when he was in India at this ashram studying Buddhism. He was traveling around through different countries in the world, studying the world's different religions, meeting with different people who either were or would become major players on our world stage. Now, India is a very important element in this entire story, and I don't want to go too far with it, but just to suffice to say that there's maybe, 8 photographs taken in India that we have. Now, since this is not the digital age, the 1964 photograph here of Meier sitting on the ground, since it was taken verifiably with this old Kodak camera, and certainly not with a new Nikon camera, and not even any of the newer 35 millimeter film cameras, we have to ask ourselves, since we have a world full of skeptics, just how was this done with an old Kodak Bellows film camera? How was this quote-unquote hoaxed? How was this cross generated so that part of it was extremely foreground clear, and some of it was just a little bit behind clouds. And if we want to get any past that, which we may not want to right now because it'll ruffle people's feathers, why is this man in India sitting on the ground with a cross floating above his head? We could stick with how in heck did they do this? That is Billy Meier. It was taken in 1964 in India, in the boonies, outside of Delhi, in an area called Mirauli, which is at least 40 miles from Delhi. And Meier was a pretty close to penniless guy traveling around. He just so happens that on the page that I have on my website, Meier is written up by a reporter from a very prestigious Indian newspaper that's well over 125 years in existence. And funny thing, he describes seeing this photograph along with a bunch of other ones of UFOs. Why don't we all, for just a moment, in our childlike innocence, go, how the heck did they do that?
Well,
let alone,
I'm doing that now. I've seen this picture before, and there's a couple of videos out there of this particular photo album getting flipped through, and different photographs in there. And so, yeah, I have seen the picture before. Now, I'm not going to bring up negatives or where's the negative on this, but the questions that I have behind this picture is how did she, you're saying that she created the holograms. So did she do this for everybody? Were there witnesses there? Did somebody else see it, or did it only show up in the photograph?
Let's look at it this way. Somebody other than Meier took this photograph.
Well, exactly. But so was it now, there in the sky, or was it only in the negative?
Yes, it was apparently there in the sky, which is why I think we see some of it more in the bottom part, seemingly, rather clear, and a little bit of what could be influence from the clouds above. Now, let me add something to this, since you asked a very good question. Did anybody else see it? While Meier was at this ashram in India, there were well over 100 witnesses to up to 8 of the craft, and a good number of witnesses to the woman, Asket. As a matter of fact, in the mid to late 90s, a woman came forward at the International UFO Congress in Laughlin, Nevada. Oops.
What?
Oh, I heard a click off. I thought we disappeared. Good.
No,
a woman came forward. Good. And she did an interview, which, we have and other people have. And she said, look, I have been asked by a lot of people since Billy Meier has become, sort of well known, and it has become known that he was at the Ashoka ashram that my grandfather was the head monk at, and they've said to me, Pobal, why aren't you, tell us about this? Is this true and is this real? And she said, yes, I really have come forward because I treasure my privacy. I have been, since I grew up, after being a little girl there and seeing Billy Meier and seeing Asket and meeting Asket, I grew up and I became the UN representative for a dozen years for Cambodia at the UN General Assembly. And then suddenly this has popped up, and I'm going to come forward now and tell everybody, this is a truthful man. I saw him there. My grandfather saw him, many of the villagers and other people, and we saw him walking on the grounds with this lovely woman, Asket, who used to occasionally come in my room at night as I was about to fall asleep, and she would sit there and, sort of just be there and humming and all while I fall asleep. And in the morning I woke up, and I would always feel like I knew a little more when I woke up in the morning than when I went to bed at night. Now, this woman hadn't run forward to become famous. She's basically retreated after that because she doesn't want any more attention. Meier never published this photo himself. We're the first people to ever publish it. Meier has never pointed out, when we get into the photograph above that of the golden craft, I'll tell you stuff there. Meier has never even pointed out all of the information in the prophecies and predictions that not only is there, but that has been corroborated and come true. So
Okay.
We have to be like detectives here, Jimmy. We have to start looking at the preponderance of evidence and sifting through it.
Let's go to picture number one. Let's start there because this is one of his first photographs. So let's go to let's go. Everybody just click on picture number one, top row, left, with the title. It says one of Meier's first UFO photos, 1964, and this was taken also in India. Okay, so tell me about this. Tell me about this picture.
Well, this was taken in the same period of time as our famous number 8 here. This is one of several photographs where Asket posed her ship above the ashram. And I didn't send you the one with the 8 UFOs because they appeared more as lights, 8 lights in the sky, even though there's a woman sitting on a veranda, and these are all above her head. But, these are easy to find online. It's for free. Everybody can find them. But Asket posed her ship in a couple different ways at the ashram above it. Again, now, we're in the boonies in India. We're not talking Hollywood here. It's 1964. And Meier's walking around with his clunky old camera. Even at that time, the camera could have been 20 years old. And he's clicking these photographs of Asket's ship. So this was Meier's first evidence, which, interestingly enough, after Meier loses his left arm in 1965 and doesn't start taking photographs again until 1975, along with all the other, physical evidence in the case, everything is exponentially of greater quality, clearer, and far more abundant and varied and all that after he has one less arm to work with. So his task significantly increased in degree of difficulty. But here you're looking at one of the very first, it could have been, for all I know, the first photo in that series, but whatever. There's let's say there's a half a dozen to 8 taken in India of the UFOs. And I think there's some nighttime shots possibly with, some lights and stuff like that. This is the kind of thing where even if you look at this photo as, as non-spectacular in a sense as it may seem to be, it still compares very well with UFO photos that have been taken 20, 30, 40 years later. But it's not his, quote unquote, his best. It's just, in a sense, so fantastic as evidence. Because you have a man who is observed by lots of people. He's interviewed by a reputable reporter for a reputable newspaper in India who has seen these photographs firsthand himself within, months of their being taken. You have the kind of thing that people who really would look for evidence would salivate over because they're going to, wait a minute, I'm an investigator, I'm a detective. What do you mean? I'm sitting here, it's 1964, and I'm looking at photographs of these unknown objects. I don't even know anything about Photoshop.
Yeah. It's certainly it's not an issue of Photoshop or CGI for me.
Clearly.
But
it's not models.
But no, but again, I would want to see the negative. This picture is interesting, but I don't know, and it's an interesting picture. I don't know how it's been reproduced, and if there's no negative, how many generations away of this from the original is there? It is what it is, and
they have to decide for themselves.
Yeah, the whole negative issue. I'm shocked by you saying that you've never seen or worried about the negatives.
Work me through this because you're not going to be satisfied on the negative. So if the negative issue is going to block you, or anybody
no, but not at all. But what I'm saying is, and this is me, and again, Michael, I swear I'm a doofus, so please understand that. But I have in my garage somewhere, I don't know where they're at, but somewhere in my garage, I have envelopes, yellow envelope after yellow envelope of stupid negatives of pictures that I took in 1980 that I don't even know what I have anymore. But you know what? I have them. That's all I'm saying, and so you blew my mind when you said that. That's all. I did not expect that kind of answer, that there was nothing out there. I'm just
Let me throw a thought at you, Jimmy. if these people really exist, could we all agree that if they wanted to, they could prove or could have proved their existence in something around 5 minutes instead of dragging this on for 72 years?
You lost me there.
They would appear over the major cities. In other words, if the Pleiaren, if these extraterrestrials with their craft, to prove in other words, inescapably establish the reality of them and their craft, they could have posed them over the major cities of the world at any time since 1961. They could have thrown the world into psychosis, but they could have proved you could have had.
I've lost you again.
You don't get my argument.
Okay. No. I've lost your voice. I've lost the phone call. Keep talking. Oh, there you are.
Yeah. Tell me when you can't hear me. I'm saying if these people wanted to, they could have proved it in 5 minutes over the last 72 years, and negatives, photographs, nothing would have been important.
Yeah,
they could
well, then absolutely. And so that's where I just throw this question out. Again, remember, we're just sitting on my couch. Okay, we're just talking.
That's fine.
Why haven't they? Why haven't they appeared?
All right. Do you want the answer to that? I'm going to give you an answer to that.
Well, you're the one that said it. You're the one that brought it up. Okay. All right.
Yeah. But I mean, fine. I'm glad you're taking me up on asking me. Based on the reaction to even their alleged messenger, Mr. Meier, presenting his evidence and the 22 attempts on his life and the unrelenting, vicious characters that continue to want to be know-nothing armchair internet who send me nasty emails calling this guy a liar and a hoaxer.
I've lost him again. Michael Horn, this is, if you can hear me, we're going to have to call you back. And let's take a quick commercial break. I don't understand what's going on. If this is... It's been a strange night already. Okay, here we go, guys. Let's take a quick break. I'll be right back. KJCR, JimmyChurchRadio.com. Oh, man. Stay with us, everybody. I'm going to try to raise Michael one more time.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
On the Dark Matter Radio Network.
Hey, this is Alan Yohannes from the Vultures, the Queens of the Stone Age. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Rock on.
Okay, see, I hear you just fine right now. Okay? All right. Just stay with us. I'm going to put you on hold. KJCR, JimmyChurchRadio.com. Hang on. Now I got Michael back. Michael, are you with us?
I'm here. I shall stay to the end.
Okay. Absolutely bizarre. So, yeah, you just said to me, they just don't want us to talk. Yeah, it's whatever you are doing right now, don't change because you are perfectly clear. And again, I don't want to get you all wound up. So let's just,
I'm having fun.
Okay, all right. So, but I asked you directly because you had brought it up. Why haven't they, popped a ship over downtown Los Angeles or Washington, D.C. or Paris, London, Zurich, for everybody to see. And you kind of went off in a round of you went off topic and brought up assassination attempts.
Because, look, if the world cannot handle a man coming forward with evidence of these people that they can't debunk and show it to be hoaxed, how are they going to handle the real thing coming down and creating psychosis with all of the people that have rigid religious beliefs and all of the rest of it? You and I and your audience, we say, okay, we can handle this. There are billions of people, Jimmy, that can't.
Yeah, and again, this is a subject, Michael, that comes up on the show every single night, and this audience knows exactly what I'm about to say because they've heard me say it enough. 25 years ago, that may have been the case. 50 years ago, I can hear you, Michael. Michael, I can hear you. Absolutely bizarre interview.
Jimmy.
Okay. I don't know what to do.
You. Darn it.
I don't know what to do, but I'll continue. And Michael, if you can eventually hear me, is this 25 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago? Maybe not. Maybe mentally we weren't ready for it. But today, in today's media, websites like your own and everything else that goes out there with movies and magazines and YouTube and videos, it's well, that's it. I think we are done with this interview, and if you can hear me, Michael, I just can't I can't continue like this. So that's it. I did my best. Keith just texted me from the network. How about let's just cancel this? And I did my best, and I won't make a charade of things. So that's it. I will reset, and if you would like to call into the show, let's go ahead and go with that. I will take open lines right now. 323-825-5045. Right now, call the show. 323-825-5045. And there are so many people on the website and on the network that were listening that really wanted this interview. Hey, I can't do anything about somebody that doesn't want to get interviewed. I'm assuming it was just a charade. So, and in a weird way, I don't feel right. So, 323-825-5045. 323-825-5045. And I'll reset everything and get things going, and we'll be right back after this. This is KJCR. You got to love it. There's nothing I can do sometimes. This is KJCR, Fade to Black on the Dark Matter Radio Network. 323-825-5045, taking your calls. Got a bunch of emails that have come in. I'll go through those. 323-825-5045. I'll be back right after this.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
On the Dark Matter Radio Network.
Hey, this is Alan Yohannes from the Vultures and Queens of the Stone Age. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Rock on.
My. Oh, this is West Coast. West Montgomery, West Coast. That's Doug Aldrich. All right. I said it was at the end of the show. Okay. Now, Michael has called me back one more time. He says he's got a clean line this time. So let's give it a shot. Michael, are you there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now, you're a little echoey. Keep talking.
Okay. I was born at a very young age. And,
okay. Well, now we've got a clean signal, and I will give this one more shot. Okay. I'm just
right.
Yeah, Keith at the network said, we can't do this. So, but let's give it one more try.
You got it.
Okay. It's very frustrating for me and the audience out there. And so let's get back on track, and let's get very direct. Okay. So we were just talking about, why don't they, land, and this is what I wanted to say. And this is what I was saying when we got disconnected, which is this, and the audience out there is very used to my position on this, which is 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago, 100 years ago, you're right, couldn't handle it. But now, and I don't care if you're in India, I don't care if you're in Europe, I don't care if you're in Russia, I don't care if you're in Patagonia, I don't care if you're in Fiji on an island. Everybody has seen Independence Day. Everybody around the world.
That's the problem.
Okay, but they would not be surprised or shocked. They're expecting a ship to land somewhere. So that's how I feel today. I don't think there would be anarchy in the streets in any country. And I don't care if it's Muslim. I don't care if it's Iran, Iraq, Syria. That's my position.
Okay, well, all right. Here, think about it. You might have noticed, all of us might have noticed, that in the news there's some stuff going on in Eastern Europe right now, isn't there? There's stuff going on, in Iran and Iraq and in this country and that country, and the human beings who are all basically the same from this earth can't get along with each other. But of course, you're going to tell me, and a lot of people are going to tell me, no problem, we've seen photographs and films. If things descend from the sky, and of course Independence Day told us that meant that these were evil aliens coming to kill us, and we've got to send Jeff Goldblum and everybody else to go destroy them. But no, most people are going to just welcome the opportunity for beings about whom they know nothing, whose agenda they know nothing about, and who, because they are suspicious enough of their own neighbors and kin, they're going to open their arms and say, well, thank goodness the people from the stars have come down. I don't buy that. I don't see the evidence for it. But why don't we, since we know we have this tenuous grasp on phone line, why don't we move to a couple of photos and come back to any of these questions? But I want your audience, since everybody's attacked Meier's photos, I want to point a couple things out to them.
Okay, well let's go to picture number 2.
Okay, well number 2 is just one of the classic UFO shots. Meier took hundreds of these, and the clarity of the shot, 1976, I think. You start to look at the edges around the craft, and you're looking at the machining and the dissimilar metals. And of course, we're supposed to, according to the skeptics, accept that this man who was living on a farm, renovating a farmhouse, has one hand, he goes out and he somehow gets a bunch of metal and who knows who's never been identified. Never come forward. Nobody, and he's got nothing better to do with his time while he's trying to survive in the highlands of Switzerland, but to make phenomenal, beautiful UFO quote-unquote models that he photographs hundreds of times flawlessly. This is one of those shots. We have dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of them. Why is he doing this? If he can do it, why hasn't he hightailed it over to Hollywood and started to make a decent living for himself and, move his family to the Hollywood Hills? Good Lord, look what he's doing. All of the sci-fi films, including Spielberg's and George Lucas, are using all these nighttime effects and everything else because up until even fairly recently, now that we have CGI stuff working, they couldn't make a daytime shot that looked like anything at all. And Meier's got dozens of these. Hey, MGM and 2 other companies offered Meier $1 million film deal back in 1979 through Wendell Stevens. They said, you can have our special effects department. He says, well, no, thank you. I don't need it. I take my camera and I point it. When the ship comes, I press the button. So we've got to get our heads, folks.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on everything that you just said. I totally agree. I remember the first time that I saw this picture. It blew my mind. And as time went by with this and the other things that Billy had said about riding on the ships and stuff, why has Billy said why he hasn't been able to shoot any movies of him getting on and off of the ships?
Yes,
or
because it would be too. Yes, it's too conclusive. It forces. You understand something.
Well, isn't this? But Michael, isn't this supposed to be conclusive? You just said it was.
It's supposed to make people work to think. I interacted. There's a skeptic who's an astronomer, a scientist, a PhD, who tries to attack the Meier material and his photographs and evidence. As soon as I start presenting evidence on his blog, he censors it because he cannot accept it. I've sent my films to Michio Kaku. I've sent a film to Neil deGrasse Tyson. I've tried to reach Paul Davies, professor at ASU, Arizona State University, who is the author of 5 books on extraterrestrial life, who, after I sent him my film, said, sorry, this is not an area of my interest or expertise. We may be very open-minded thinking people. The so-called experts can't take it. The skeptics can't take it. Simple, ordinary people who are not ready for people from the stars to come landing are not going to take it if that happens. So we've got to work our way through stuff.
Well, okay. So this picture here, which was taken in 1976, and I'm being straight up. That picture blew my mind, always has, freaks me out. Great picture, awesome. I want it to be real. My heart of hearts, that's where I'm coming from. Okay? Now, I want to go to, that being said, and I just put that on the table. I'm being very straight with you. What killed it for me is the wedding cake picture, which is
good. Okay.
Okay, so let's go to that. Already. Yeah, it's which is the second picture from the left on the bottom row. Everybody just open that up. This is the famous wedding cake picture. And the reason why, and I want you to answer in just a second. The reason why this killed it for me, because the other, all of the stuff in the air, like the previous shot that we just saw, are pristine, perfect pictures. Nothing, and so is this. I'm not saying it's not pristine because it is, but this one. This looks like something just sitting in front of the camera with the house in the background, and where the house is out of focus. So it looks like in this picture, I'm just telling you how I see it. It looks like it's 2 feet in front of the camera lens, and that's your picture. I don't know what else. How else to explain it? Because these are my eyes speaking, nothing else.
All right. Let me jump in here now, because I'm going to bounce around between 4 pictures. That is the 6th picture. Now look at it carefully on the lower row where all of those globes are, right? If you look at the center row, the center of the bottom row, you can see just above it there's a lip. You see what I'm saying? Before the curved part that leads to the next middle row of globes, right? See that?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Now, if you go up to picture number 4, the nighttime photograph of the same craft, you're going to notice where the arrow is pointing. Now, and believe me, I will be able to give you a lot of references where you'll see that this is not because of an optical illusion or anything else. That the cupola of this craft has raised up so that there is an actual difference in the dimension, in the measurement. That has elevated itself up from the lower part where that lip was. Now, that's just one thing to think about. Now we're going to go from photograph number 4, and we're going to go to photograph number 5. The reason for that is this. Photograph number 4 is taken at night. Okay, it's a 35 millimeter film photograph. It's not digital. And when a professor named Ral Zahi took it and did what I also did, and I'm technologically a zero, but I did what he said. He says, put it in Photoshop and enhance the contrast and the brightness. And lo and behold, it's an object hovering over a road at night. It's not a model in front of a black curtain, as all of our brethren skeptics have tried to say. That photograph, you can take it yourself and you can put it into Photoshop. And when you enhance the brightness of the contrast and fiddle around with it, you are going to have revealed to you this effect and variations on it. And then you, meaning you, the audience, you can ask yourself how it is that a 35 millimeter film photograph of this object was taken and has remained, the essence of it has remained hidden for 32 years because Billy Edward Albert Meier was such a genius in 1981 that he figured out that in 1990, 2000, 2014, we were going to invent something called Photoshop, which when his film photograph was put in, was going to reveal that this is a craft hovering above a road where there's a post and there's grass.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you.
Now,
hey, Michael, I've got a bunch of calls that are coming in. I just want to grab one call. Here we go. Let's. Hi, you're live on the air with Michael Horn.
Hey, how are you doing, Jimmy?
Who's calling? And Michael is on the line with us.
Oh, he is on the line.
Yes.
Excellent. This is Mark calling from San Rafael, California.
Okay, Mark, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Michael, you can hear him just fine?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the question, really quick?
The quick question was, it just seems strange. Like, I am a big UFO head, and I've seen things. I definitely know there's stuff out there, but it just seems strange that you've never wanted to see, negatives or slides. I find that really interesting. Like, it never crossed your mind, and I'm not doubting anything. I really want to believe. It's like the first thing that came into my head. So I'm kind of thinking along those lines.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, sure. I guess that's just a comment I wanted to make, and I will take this off the air.
Okay, thank you very much, and again, thank you.
Let me answer.
Go ahead.
You know what? Let's just say a crime has been committed, and whatever you can call it, whatever you want, whether it's a robbery, a murder, whatever. A crime has been committed, and it's now after the fact, and we don't have a video camera film of this crime being committed. We only have the remaining evidence, and as detectives, we have to examine the evidence and try to come to our conclusions and present the case ultimately in a court of law to a jury, to a judge. And by the way, if we have time for it, I will tell you how I managed to present the case to a judge on the Meier case. So we have to scrutinize. We have to also say to ourselves, 99% of what we call history, we cannot prove. We have to take hearsay, at best, for thousands of years of history. Here we have photographic evidence. And in answering it, I'm now going to move us to photograph number 6 and number 7, because you started with photograph number 6.
Okay.
This wedding cake ship. What do you think we have in photograph number 7? We have an enlargement of detailed enlargement from the segment that's in the lower left-hand corner. Now, I want to tell you and your audience that there are at least 2 or 3 complete detailed video analyses of this photograph done by this professor using 3D imaging and modeling and Photoshop, and he's posted them online. And any and everybody that wants to can take these photographs and do what he did. You can reconstruct, you can come to your own conclusions, but look at that detail. You can see red crystal. You can see green and blue. Looking at the globe, you see a golden ring around it, and what Professor Zahi describes as a blue lens, and you can see in the globe the reflection of the building that Meier was standing in front of when he took the photograph. Now, 1981. Look at the detail. Does anybody out there think that our so-called one-armed Swiss farmer assembled this? Could any of you machine this?
Well,
how long would it take you?
Well, true. I'm going to be sarcastic, but I just got to say this. He's in Switzerland, man. They make watches.
He doesn't make watches. Because, yeah, we're here. Great. I live in America. They make airplanes. I can't make an airplane. I can't even make a watch. My father was a jeweler.
Right,
Come on. This is a guy with one hand that lives in a rugged environment where their tools include things like tractors and saws and diesel equipment and all this stuff. I've been there, man, 14 times. I want the people that are banging on this stuff, just, who want to be cynics and skeptics, go take your butts over there and scour around. If you think that any of the folks that live and work over there could or did make this, and they still are struggling the way they do, and they publish his stuff, and they do their work, and they're not millionaires, and they're not special effects experts, look at that detail. That's machined. Those are crystals. When you look at the photograph then of either the gold night ship or the daytime, those red things that you see in the close-up, they're all the way around the rim of that. There's 100 in some of them. And then the green ones and the blue ones, and there's even some white crystals in there. Come on, people. Are we going to get clobbered by the Chinese and the Russians and everybody else who, frankly, in Hong Kong, to people who are so damn sharp? I'm talking about teenagers and scientists who came to these presentations, who ask the tough question and who get it. And they're not rollovers. These are the people that are going to be ruling our world, and and too many people are worried about lights in the sky, for gosh sakes.
Well, because that's what they see, Michael. I mean,
yeah, but that's because they're not paying attention to the content, Jimmy. There's a reason for all this, and this is to immerse us. This is to say, here's your first level of evidence to capture your curiosity and your interest, and then if you really stick with this and you're prying and you're going, dang, the guys who thought they duplicated these things, well, they didn't look at this. Nobody's duplicated this detail work. And now, 33 years later, a nighttime photograph is revealed. Where was Meier? He's in a craft above the damn other object, photographing it at night. Cold water time, folks.
So you're saying that he was in another craft above this one, just so I'm understanding. I just want to be clear on this. So is he photographing out the window of this craft and down?
No, he's sitting on the edge of the darn thing. And he did that. There's some daytime photographs when he's about 40, 50 feet in the air, photographing another one of these daytime, hovering at treetop level, and he takes several photographs sitting on the outside edge of it too.
Are there any? Did he spin around and take another picture of him sitting on the craft or anything like that?
No. We're going to have to struggle with, wait a minute, are these really treetops? And, of course, the forestry experts who've examined various photos, such as photo number 3.
Right. Well, yeah, I want to talk about photo 3.
Sure.
So he's sitting. I've never heard that. I've never heard that. So Billy's got one arm.
Yeah.
And he's holding the camera with that one arm. How's he hanging onto the craft?
Carefully.
Wow. He's crazy.
Listen, this guy has nerves of steel. People don't know anything about this man. In the late 50s and 60s, this guy was known as the Phantom in the Middle East.
Yeah, wasn't he like an assassin or something, and some Secret Service guy?
He was more like he was hired by police departments in Turkey, West Pakistan, and India to bring in serial killers and mass murderers. He told me, I asked him, you ever kill him? He says, no, I don't kill people, but I have shot people who raise their weapons towards me. Meier is an amazing shot with a handgun. He shot the hat off a guy at 300 meters. I mean, there's stuff, it's legendary. The postcard with the stamp and the bullet through it,
right.
All that stuff. And some of that's in our first film, which is free, The Silent Revolution of Truth. And, you know, in there you see Meier go through his gun cabinet, and my German friend asks him in German, well, isn't this a bit aggressive for you to have all these weapons? And Billy stops and he says, no, now this is my bulldog revolver. And he carries right on. He says, look, here's the fact of life. The only time you should use a weapon is in defense of your life or somebody else, and that's your last resort. You don't kill people if you can at all avoid it, but every life form has the right and the responsibility to protect itself. We are no different. And, you know, there's many people out there that are hostile, even out in this universe, and our friends that play hard, they have their weapons, and this is all non-aggressive, but you defend yourself. So this is not New Age, light body nonsense that we, get pumped at us by people. This is the real deal in terms of real life. And this is a real man who's had experiences that people cannot even begin to imagine. I mean, all over.
There was one thing that just comes to mind really quick, and I haven't asked you or talked to you about this yet, but how do you? What is your answer to the Dean Martin dancers and that whole?
Oh, that's super easy. We have a whole web page, and it's easily found on my website. And it shows analyses that were done between the Dean Martin dancer photographs and the photographs that Meier had, which it turns out, at least in Meier's, from what they've said, that these photographs were taken from him, manipulated, and reinserted. And the whole premise that he would have photographed from the TV screen is disproved right away. There's no cathode ray tube lines in his photographs. And here's something else, because I remember reading this when I was reading the original books. Before this issue ever arose, and this is in a copyrighted book, it's linked from this page, Meier is told, in America, this is, I think, like 78 or something, they say to him, in America there are two dancers, show business people who are almost doppelgangers, doubles for Ascot and Nira. And Meier says, oh, great, take me, show me. And they say to him, we're not going to do that. There's reasons we can't go into right now why we're not going to pursue that. And then 10 or 20 years later, whatever, people come out and they say, oh, look at this photograph. This is obviously a hoax. You read the article yourself and you go through it and you say, oh, wait a minute. Those aren't the same people. There are no cathode ray tube lines in the photos. Meier didn't have the Dean Martin show available to him. Maybe, just maybe, it was another attempt to assassinate his character when they couldn't assassinate the man. There's all this stuff. Look.
But didn't he do drawings as well? Matched?
The drawings have been done by other people. See, the drawings are very, very good representations, we're told, I can't prove it,
right,
of these people. And the drawing differs also in some detail from the photographs. And this woman, Pobal Cheng, had brought up to Billy the UN ambassador. She said to him, because this will be hard to understand, but Billy took photos and threw them in shoeboxes. He doesn't care about UFOs. He's been on them since he's 5 years old. I could be sitting in his office talking to him, and either an hour before or an hour after, he's sitting with these people in their ship or in the office. It's not a big deal to him because he's, it's like, yeah, okay, they fly around, and it's like sitting in a room with somebody. You don't feel anything, and we talk, and then they send me back into my office. So while I understand the fascination with this, and I'd go over this stuff till the cows come home if you want, but believe me, the reason for all this and the reason we agonize and go through these photos and struggle with, where's the negatives? Now I'll tell you something that's going to happen this year. There is a new photo book coming out, all new digitized photos. And I don't know if they're taken from their best photos or from some perhaps existing negatives, but later this year we're going to get a chance to see, just like with this wedding cake craft, realize something. This wedding cake craft, there's 63 photos, close, treetop, at a distance. There's a video for free on my site, 5 minutes, just focused on this zooming in and out on the wedding cake craft. So there's no shortage of this.
Well, going back to the wedding cake photo, just let me be very frank and very clear as to when this is shot in other angles or off in the distance or whatever, or flying, it appears different. But what I'm looking at in this picture here, with this thing in the driveway or whatever it is in front of the house, my brain says this picture is not correct. My eyes look at it, and if somebody told me, well, look, this is the thing, Michael. I'm just being straight with what Jimmy, hold on, Michael, hold on, let's calm down. What I'm saying is this: if somebody told me, hey, check this out, I took this picture, I held it up in front of the camera, and look at this picture, then it looks correct to me. Then I'd say, okay, all right, I get it, because my brain is calculating correctly. But if somebody's trying to, if that same person came to me and said, this is a picture of a 40 or 50 foot ship in front of my house.
Feet.
Okay.
14 or 21.
Okay. But it looks like it's 14 inches. That's what my brain says. That's what my brain is telling me.
Yeah, because your brain hasn't yet looked at the videos done by this man where he walks you through every step, the triangulations, the measurement, the view from Google Earth, showing you the location and the dimensions.
Right.
I guarantee you this: if you watch his 3 videos on this, you just might have a different perspective, and it's understandable. This is the one that blew. Even Lee and Bradell said, "Oh, we can't wrap our head around the wedding cake ship." I said, "Okay, fine. Let's find out." Then you go to picture 7, and you're looking in the globe and saying, "Wait a minute, what is that dark thing in the back?" I stood in front of that. That's a building. How could that building be reflected that way in a 2 or 3 inch Christmas tree ornament? It can't. And when you watch Zahi's videos, you're going to be taken through that. This is not, this is not for the faint of heart. I'm with you. But I've also watched his videos, and believe me, I don't know Photoshop from 3D imaging and all that, but I could follow through those videos and go, oh my gosh, I get it.
Well,
I can get it from looking at this stuff.
Well, so I guess what you're saying is the reason why there isn't somebody standing next to the wedding cake ship, with their arm on it, leaning on the side of it and posing with this ship. The reason why that isn't there is because our mind couldn't handle it. But and which is fine. Okay, so that's what you're saying. I get that. But on the flip side of the very same argument is the reason why this ship is in front of this house and is taken there is to show it to the world so we would accept it. So you can't have it both ways.
So we would struggle with it because it's so bizarre. It really is.
Well,
anybody who first looks at that and doesn't go, "What the heck is that thing? It can't be real."
Well, do you understand? But do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean,
of course I do.
Okay,
but you see, like you just said, the reason. This is what I'm trying to get at, and I'm not going to, let it go. I'll try to not, blow up circuits here. But the reason for all of this is to get us to another place inside of ourselves, in communication with each other, and in rectifying a direction we are collectively going on that is being reflected today as we speak, as Russia makes certain movements, as this happens and that happens, that Meier has already published decades ago. I'll tell you, if I may, I reconnected about 4 years ago with a guy I hadn't seen in 50 years. He's now a retired physician, oncologist, and physicist. How you doing, Michael? What are you up to? UFOs, never mind that stuff. Let's just connect up again freshly. Fine. Dr. Sanford Weinstein. I interviewed him for the film As the Time Fulfills on the topic of extraterrestrial life. He can wrap his head around that. Certainly, there's certain constants in terms of elements and conditions and all. There's no reason why there shouldn't be extraterrestrial life. But we didn't discuss Meier. Then I sent him a little clip a couple years ago about the Russian troop movements that Meier predicted in 1987 that would be originating from a very specific city in northern Russia, Siberia, called Arkhangelsk. And Dr. Weinstein said, "Come over and bring your camera." I said, "Sure, Sandy." And he gave a little interview, a clip of which we stuck up on YouTube, edited just for the meat of the matter. And we put the whole clip that related to this in my newest film, which is called As the Time. No, that's my old one. And Did They Listen? Okay. And what does Dr. Sanford Weinstein, highly religious, skeptical man, say?
What does he say?
He said Meier's information is astonishing and amazing. This man is not crazy. How he could already have known that then is astounding. Our military should be paying attention to him for his information. I know this area of Russia. It is under constant cloud cover. It is the perfect staging area for an attack such as Mr. Meier has predicted will ultimately come across Alaska and through Canada and dissect the U.S. We should be listening to him. And he also referred to Meier's information about the coming, and I don't have a date for it, invasion of Scandinavia, Turkey, and Iran, and the Balkans and other parts of Europe that will be conducted by the Russians. And Meier, as far long ago as 1976, specified that Russia and China were already working behind the scenes and will continue so that they will ultimately go on their military march. And he named the countries, and it includes ours. And I want the people in the UFO community, when they can satisfy themselves that it just may be possible that Billy Edward Albert Meier is here for a reason, to do something to try to help us assure our own future survival. The same man who in 1951 warned us about climate change, and then from there on, in 58 on, global warming. He named AIDS by name. 2 U.S.-Iraq wars, the second one conducted under the leadership of a son of a former president, that we would carry our cell phones in our pockets and plastic credit cards, and it goes on and on. Why? How is this man publishing? And as for your guest tomorrow night, in 1958, Meier published that the United States of America will have several moon launches. The first one will be an outright hoax, and he later explains how they did it and how they left the artifacts. Who is this man? Who are these people? Are we really going to continue to chase lights in the sky and hear warmed over nonsense about Roswell, for which we have no evidence, and which I knew was true in 1958 when the son of an Air Force officer told me about it?
Right.
Okay.
Well, I look at, see, this is the thing. With everything that you just said about being, we need we can't handle it. We can't handle a craft. We have to prepare ourselves. We got to get our mind ready. He's helping us do it. But in the same sense, all of these dramatic prophecies coming from Billy Meier, I think that would be that all of that stuff, that information, that is terribly frightening, and that is freaking people out. I mean, that if you want to upset people and give people heart attacks and cause problems and rifts, start saying stuff like that Russia is going to invade the United States and China is going to do that. Why do that instead of bring the Palladians here, Michael, and tell everybody it's going to be okay? That's a better plan in my eyes. I could be dead wrong. But
let me give you the answer for it. Let's just say that I'm out one night and I'm taking a walk and I see your house. It's late at night, and I see that in your basement there's a fire started. You don't know about it yet. You're upstairs sleeping. So I have to make a choice. Should I be so impolitic and undiplomatic and not nice as to go to your door and pound on it screaming, "Fire, get yourself out of here"? Or should I maybe think about that and go home and say, I don't think that Jimmy or Jane or Joe or Annabelle or anybody else really wants to be woken up in the middle of the night. It'll be okay. Maybe I'll just tell them it's okay. Or I'll just pretend like it's not happening. See, this is the problem so much with our country, where people are living imaginary virtual lives online all the time. They're spending their time with their icons and their false identities and being experts and stuff while we are in a hole. It isn't popular for Billy Meier to be a prophet. His spirit has done this 6 other times in the past, and one of those times he got crucified for it. What are we supposed to do? Pretend like we're not in trouble? Or say, hey, wait a minute, this man's been warning us for 50-something years. Do you think we might want to pay attention? Because along with the warnings, they've been telling us hand in hand how to get ourselves out of this hole. We want to chase lights in the sky. We don't want to know. Don't tell me I have to really do it. This is what I'm saying, and I said it in the very beginning. If this case is real, there's a reason for it. That reason is our future survival. These people love us enough to not step into our mess, which wouldn't help them, and it wouldn't help us. We'd learn nothing from it. We are capable of taking this situation, our lives, collectively and individually, into our own hands, telling all our supposed leaders and gurus and outside experts and religion and politics, step aside. You've messed things up enough, and we've let you do it, but we're in a hole. And we've got some instructions here how to get out of it.
This question just came in from Chuck. Well, I've got literally 50 emails in front of me, so I just selected one at random. Chuck says, why did the taking of the photographs stop?
Sure. Very easy answer, folks. And it's in print in the material. Because they knew, if they know anything, they've done time travel. They said to Billy, it's somewhere written, one of the kind of, he said, look, in your world, shortly, the computer technology is going to be developed to a point where more and more people will have it. And by the way, Meier predicted in 51 and 58, computers in everybody's home. And in 58, he said, every home will have a television and a computer interconnected electronically around the world. Okay. So they said to him, well, this time is here now. 1980 and all that, 81, this is it. Because from here on, if you take more photos and all, you already have enough grief with photos taken with relatively primitive technology. As soon as you start using digital stuff or taking any more photos anyhow, people are going to accuse you of being more of a hoaxer, and it's all been done with special effects. And, of course, that's already happened even with this stuff. So they said, look, you don't need any more. If people can't grasp what you've got here, it will only actually set things back to start giving you more photo ops in the digital age. And he says, yeah, it makes sense to me. Let's get to the important stuff, which is the information. And by the way, when I talk about prophetically accurate information, there's tons of it that isn't got anything to do with our destruction. They simply gave him information about discoveries on Mars about 32 years before we made him. He describes in 1982 on a screen in one of the craft, he's describing full-blown 3D holographic touch screen technology. They give him information on sciences.
Hold on, I got to stop you right there. What did he say that we were going to find on Mars?
He was told in 1976, and it is in copyrighted books, he asks about Mars and discoveries and when will the Earth scientists make discoveries there. And she said, well, it's still going to be a while, but they will find that there are microorganisms, small life forms, flora and fauna that they'll first discover. They will start to discover the water because there is a lot of water on Mars, and they'll begin to discover it, and they will discover that the environment is hostile to life. In 2008, approximately, if I've got my figures right, we discovered the first microscopic forms of the flora and fauna. We discovered traces of water, and then we discovered perchlorate in the soils in certain parts there.
Well, yeah, sort of. See, he said this in 1976?
It's published in a book,
right?
Copyrighted.
Right.
Wendell Stevens published it in 1978. Meier is.
Well, hold on. I just want to say, I just said on the show last night, and I said it last week, and nothing to do with you or you being on this show. But as far as I know, we haven't found anything on Mars. Okay, so and I'm more than upset. What I'm saying, I'm upset about that. I mean, that we've sent a probe after probe after probe, and we haven't found a single solitary thing. You're talking about the meteorite with the possibility of bacteria, but none of that's been proven. I mean, it's been speculated, but no, we haven't. If we found life on Mars, Michael, we would be talking about it. We haven't found anything on Mars, so.
I've nothing to do right now, so I don't.
Okay, I've lost you again. Speak up. There you are.
Yeah. I've got the articles online and the scientific publications about the findings that I think are the first ones that correlate to my discovery.
I'm not debating that. I just wanted to say that I have been saying on this show. I just said it. What I said had nothing to do with you being on this show. I'm saying that in the last few weeks I have stated and restated that I wish we would find something on Mars. So,
Right.
and we haven't. We have
Can I
not.
throw something out at you? Jimmy,
Sure.
I want to throw one thing out because I don't know how much time we have left. But look, anybody that wants, I just produced a new film called And Did They Listen? And anybody that orders that DVD and just mentions your name, says Jimmy, or writes the word free and orders that from me, I will send you another full-length Meier documentary with it. I'll include it for free, 2 for 1. That's my big pitch. So while I don't have a book to hawk, and I'm not trying to be wildly, but look, if there's interest in this, you guys, you can get it, and you can analyze it, and you can send me emails. I respond to all emails. It just takes me a bit of time because I'm a one-man
That's
band.
great. They can do that on theyfly.com.
Right. All they have to do is make sure if they order, the PayPal thing, write the word free or Jimmy in there.
Right.
So that I know this is one that gets 2 for 1.
Okay.
That's all.
Yeah, that's cool. The links are right there. Michael Horn, you just click on that and get over to theyfly.com. It's not The Fly, it's theyfly.com.
No more Jeff Goldblum for tonight.
Yeah, right. Okay. Another email. I've got so many. Billy's ex-wife said it's all a hoax, and the wedding cake is a trash can lid. Now, tell me if he is okay. Well, you know what? Let's go ahead. Yeah, we might as well just go there. That came in from Warren. Go ahead.
That's no problem. Billy Meier's wife was one of 17 people who took a lie detector test, passed it 100% in support of Meier's authenticity and honesty. Billy Meier's wife is on video attesting to the reality of his contacts with her children who also have seen the ships. Billy Meier's wife was quoted after she accidentally came upon one of the ETs who was sitting in her living room with Meier, and they thought nobody else was around, and he disappeared before her very eyes. Billy Meier's wife, after ex-wife, let's be honest here, for any of us who've ever had an ex in our life, sometimes people can be a little harsh with each other and nasty and not always truthful. And when their bank accounts swell up unexpectedly as they start to attack their ex-husbands, it's often food for thought, and that is exactly what happened. Meier's son, I know Atlantis very well, and he in the film Silent Revolution of Truth, again, free, you can watch it online, he talks about he's seen this as a child. He was making little drawings and paintings of the ships he was seeing. There's 100 witnesses. I've interviewed lots of them. I know these people.
So,
they're very
okay, let's stay on the question.
Sure.
I respect all of that. Yeah, did she say this? Did she say this and recant it?
Yeah. I mean, she's on record supporting this whole thing. And then finally, they were married like 30 years. And then there's a guy named Luke Bergen, a debunker, who somehow created a little connection with her. And the next thing that we heard about was her bank account has suddenly been growing disproportionate to her ability to put any money in it. And now she's claiming Billy hoaxed things. Well, maybe she did. Why don't we decide for ourselves? Take the wedding cake photo at night, put it in Photoshop. You think that's a trash can lid hovering above a road? So this has got all of the ingredients of real life, not imaginary aliens, and imaginary aliens walking amongst us and abducting everybody when the secret military operations are doing any of that in place of it. Because the thing that cover-up is about is the Billy Meier case, not Roswell and all this nonsense. Why do you think you can't get this into the mainstream? Why do you think that the UFO organizations won't allow a presentation? Why did I have Stephen Bassett take 2 weeks to figure out a way to refuse this evidence that his exopolitics groups could look at themselves? Why did it, over a 5-hour conversation in 2007, did Stephen Bassett give me every reason under the sun why this should not be presented at an X-conference? Because it wasn't time for the Meier case. We have to send faxes to Washington to get them to reveal what they don't know.
What do you mean it's not time for the Myers case?
That's what Stephen Bassett told me, and this is what he has done, among other people. Stephen Greer.
Hold on. Yeah. We're jumping way ahead. What do you mean it's not time for the Meier? I understand Stephen Bassett said it, but what did he mean by that?
He meant that what was more important, and he told me, he says, well, yeah, it's authentic, but it isn't time for it. You see, we've got to force the government through this fax thing. When he started his sending fax to Washington, chase your tail nonsense, we're going to do this fax program. Later on, once we've got the government, who needs the government to tell you what's real and what isn't? Let me tell you something. The government that you send faxes to doesn't know it's from a hole in the ground. And whoever in government knows anything about UFOs, and there aren't too many people that really do, you can't force them to say anything. So Stephen Bassett sets up another chase your tail thing like Washington hearings. They're not going to bring me into the Washington hearing and have me stand up and say, okay, here's the Billy Meier case. It was offered to President Carter in 1979, and he turned it down. Do you think they're going to take it now?
What was okay? But
yeah.
What did he mean that it's not time for the Myers case?
Exactly what he meant. It's not time for Stephen Bassett and his friends in the UFO industry to give up sucking up all the oxygen in the room and pumping their faces all over the place and chasing nonsense and having philanthropists from Canada support their goofy efforts to lead people in dead-end circles. That's what it's not time for, because he and they want, if you can show me one piece of evidence, real evidence of anything extraterrestrial proven in all the stuff these exopolitics jokers do, great. Now, why have I never been interviewed by Stephen Bassett or Stephen Greer? Because I've been within 20 feet of one of their craft, and I've got a document online that warns me about something that happens if I don't step out of the way, and I step out of the way, and the next worst thing happens, not as bad as what they told. Look, I'm not a contactee. But these jokers are not experts on anything except third-hand information. And it's about time we stop playing this goofy UFO ET alien game that's nothing but entertainment for most of these people and a career.
I would say that, look, Stephen has been a guest on this program. He actually talks more than you and I combined, by the way.
I know that.
So
nothing.
But Stephen Bassett is somebody that is a pit bull, and if I needed somebody to speak up for me or to carry something through and see it to the end, Stephen Bassett is your guy, and I will always.
Why wouldn't he?
So he's not
the Miami case.
But
suppressed it.
But the way that you feel is the best way to move forward with Billy Meier is your opinion, and that's what you're doing. Great. Fantastic. But Stephen Bassett has got his way of dealing with it, and that's the way that he wants to approach it.
That's fine, but don't pretend to be going for the truth about disclosure. There's nothing to disclose. We've got 500 people from the Air Force and everything else that have seen stuff in the sky. I've had 7 other sightings other than the Play-R and Craft. Great. There's stuff flying around. Have a nice day. Don't you want to know what these people are trying to do? And Stephen Bassett's answer is, no, I don't. I want my face on TV, and I want to yammer about the alien presence on Earth and millions of contactees.
That's his
But it's not
prerogative.
the truth, and I don't care about that. I care about the truth. Life is short. I'm not here to entertain anybody, and it's fine if we do. I don't get paid to do this, and it's fine that I don't. But I won't sit still while people who are posers and charlatans, pardon me, pretend that they want the truth about anything extraterrestrial and tell me to my face it's not the time for it. And when they take literally 2 weeks to turn down a publicly offered, here, Stephen Bassett, I will give you all of the information. It's freely available. Run it through your exopolitics organizations all over the world and let them determine. This guy took 2 weeks to say, we're not going to do that.
Well,
I can keep playing that game.
Yeah, I can understand that, but
I can't, because I've been spending 35 years and for the past 13 or whatever representing the one man on Earth who can prove and whose life has been almost taken from him 22 times, whose children have been threatened at knife point.
Yes,
and we've got these people that are are sitting around getting, raise money for my free energy device and send me to Washington with a bunch of Congress people. Give me a break.
Yeah, but Michael, calm down for a second. Calm down. Take a deep breath.
What if our lives depend on this, Jimmy?
Okay.
What if it really is about our future survival?
It very well could be, and I'm not going to argue that because I agree with you. But you when you say that you went to Stephen Bassett and you asked for his help, that you did that because you know that he is somebody that not only could help, but he's got an organization and he's a professional. Because he turned it down doesn't suddenly make him a windbag, and that there's no reason for name calling or any of that. Okay,
I understand your position, Jimmy. I'm telling you something. When he was doing the X conferences with all this extraterrestrial stuff, and I said to him, here it is. I can bring the Meier material to your X conference. We spent a total of close to 5 hours in which he was intractable, refusing it. Now, why? If it's real, if it's the next thing that would elevate him even for being the one to be one step closer to bringing it forward, why would he turn it down? Why would he turn down these offers? I wouldn't turn down if somebody else said to me, look, hey, I've got this thing and it's really valuable and you're in this field. I'd say, fine, let me help you. Let the world decide. Let the people think for themselves. Don't you dare tell me it's not time for
exactly. And let me stop you there. Everybody out there that not everybody, that's a wrong statement, but the people that I respect, that I've been able to reach out to, get onto this show, and it doesn't matter who you want to name. I'm not going to sit here and name drop. That's pointless. But every single one of them, whether it's Bassett or whether it's Greer or whether it's Leslie Kane or it's Friedman, I could just go on, Philip Mantle, I don't care. They all approach this differently. Leslie says, don't deal with Washington. Don't ask for them to disclose because they just won't do it. Stephen Greer's got another way of approaching disclosure. And Stephen Bassett has got his nobody, everybody's got hold on, Michael, just let me finish. Everybody has got their own way of dealing with it, a very difficult subject, and trying to get things to move forward. Everybody's trying their own angle. And that's one of the great things about this country, is that you are able to, with freedom of speech and nobody holding you back, to try to move forward with whatever your agenda is. And I don't care if it's save the whales.
Okay,
but you are able to, but hold on, let me finish. So nobody, everybody that's out there, they're not angry at each other. They know that they're just trying to move forward. And for you've got you've got the same difficulties that everybody else has. So don't get angry at Stephen Bassett or whoever,
look,
because
Jimmy, let me explain something. Let's just say that we're
that's
all,
just my opinion, Michael. That's just
I understand. Hey,
okay.
It's beautiful. We're in your living room. We're passionate guys, and I don't have a mean bone about this. I'm passionate about something. I have a reason for it. Now let's shift the talk for 1 second. Let's just say that we were prospectors looking for a gold mine. We're all looking for the same thing, as you just said, correct? We're looking for something. In this case, we're looking for a gold mine instead of UFOs. And one day somebody walks in the room where we gather and we come together and they say, hey, I found the mother lode. I found the mother lode. And they go, oh, yeah, sure. And he says, hey, wait a minute. I'm not only going to give you directions to it, I'm taking you there. Come on. And he takes them there. And he says, hey, you see this mine that I discovered, that I found? Guess what? I'm not laying a claim to it. Help yourself. It's inexhaustible. It's all yours because we are, after all, as you just said, Jimmy, after the same thing. What we didn't know is we don't have to fear each other. We don't have to climb over each other. If we recognize that somebody here has found the real deal, not only can we share it and partake of it, are we interested anymore in hearing tales about somebody's, well, there's a map to, I think it's a real one over here. Follow me and I'll, pay me $500. Let's go out in the desert and shine flashlights in the sky for Jimmy, this is real life. You know, you and I, we've lived a little. Your audience, there's people out there, they've lived a bit. When a man who tells me he's looking for the same thing that I am, and I bring him the best evidence he could ever have, and I say, hey, just since you've got this thing, look at it, share it with your people. Let me make a presentation at your event that's supposedly all about this. And he says, no. It's not time for this. We know it's real. Just like the director of MUFON, Jan Hartson, said to me in July, oh, yeah, we know the Meier case is real. It's too good. That means that the room is going to clear if you point towards it. Who's going to pay any more attention to all the phenomenon? What for? If that wedding cake photo turns out to be real, along with the 63 other ones in the video, who cares about what they're filming flying around in the sky or that some clever CGI artist has put in there? If you open up the Meier material for free online, you go, oh my gosh, you mean he really predicted this and that and this and that, and they're warning us about this, and this just happened. And what is this he published about seismography will identify the frequencies generated by earthquake sounds that will forewarn of the frequency and intensity of volcanic eruptions? Billy Meier, a one-armed farmer, published that before our scientists discovered it, and 150 other things, 55 of which we've got in the film. I mean, come on, folks. Is this all that life is about, is entertaining ourselves? Are we going to just worry about being politically correct? Hey, Stephen Bassett calls it exopolitics. If you and your political thing, and I'm not political, can't take the rough and tumble, buddy, get the hell out of the kitchen. I'm not political and I'm not diplomatic. And if Stephen or anybody else, and many of them do, want to call me names or call me out or challenge me, please do. I don't take it personally. I have an obligation to you to put the evidence on the table. Your obligation is to yourself to go through it.
Well, again, I just want to emphasize that everybody has their own angle and way of dealing with this, and you have yours too. I just don't. It's certainly
something creating true or it isn't, Jimmy.
What's that?
It's either true or it ain't. It's either going to rain because the weatherman said so, or 3 other weathermen said it won't. The guy that keeps on predicting the weather right might just be the guy we want to check out. It's not about my truth here. It isn't. It isn't about an independent truth. The cover-up, the UFO cover-up, is about the Billy Meier case. The cover-up is perpetuated by Stephen Bassett and Stephen Greer and exopolitics. And by the way, I'll say this to their faces, and if they ever want to get me and my butt on stage with them, and I bring the Meier evidence, and I mean more than just the photos, and we'll have a nice big screen, do your darndest. And I've made this offer to James Randi and the professional skeptics. They've now completely backed away ever since they couldn't debunk Meier's Jupiter information that he published before NASA published it. We're dealing with real life here, folks.
Well, yes, but this for everybody else, and that you just mentioned, and not only that, me. And again, I started off this program tonight very clear. Meier has a spot in my heart. He's the reason why I'm in this industry, or one of the reasons. So, but what started to break my heart and take the winds out of the sails are when the answers to certain questions just didn't have an end. There was always no definitive thing. Let me see the negatives. Well, don't have them. Why aren't you standing next to the ship? Why are the ships at a distance? Why the pictures from the Dean Martin show? Why hold on. That's from, and you know exactly where I'm going, Michael, and you understand there's no conjecture here. So for everybody else, when they ask for certain things for Myers, if everything is legit, then there should be something to back all of this up, because it's very fantastical. Now, and I'm not disputing, and please understand, I'm not disputing some of these photographs are the most amazing things I've ever seen. I will stand by that. But on the other hand, there are pictures that I have definite issues with. And that wedding cake photo was one of them.
Okay,
I mean, it just.
But I'm going to be sending you the links where you can go, and if anybody emails me, it's not hard to find. I've got a blog with all these links, plus I've got a blog where they show that the famous film that he took, the first one he ever took in 1975, where it looks like it's a craft and a pendulum.
Yep.
It's no craft and a pendulum. That ship appears 2 times in one frame. A film.
No. Now let's talk about that for a second. I'm glad you brought that up.
I want to answer something for you. You're talking about the negatives, and we'll go right back to that because I also have a link to that thing. Let's just say, hypothetically here, in the face of all this, let's just say that magically somebody comes up with these negatives or a negative or 5 or whatever, and we go, oh my gosh, it's a real photograph and all that. What is that going to mean to people? Are they then going to finally immerse their heads in this voluminous body of information provided to us by advanced extraterrestrials who can otherwise...
Can I answer that for you? Yes.
Okay.
Yes is the answer, Michael. Absolutely, 100%.
The next question is backing up one step technologically. If you, Jimmy, and everybody in your audience take that 35 millimeter photograph, black background gold, right off the internet, no digital, nothing, and throw it into Photoshop, and lo and behold, it's a real object floating, if you will, above a real road with a real fence post. Would that be just about as good? Or are you going to tell me somehow this man really is a genius who foresaw how he would trick technology that didn't exist 33 years ago?
Exactly. But you answered the question for yourself. Would it be better? Yes, it would. And would it help everybody out there just go, okay, all right, now let's take a second look at this. There's something here. If you produce 1,200 negatives, of course, that strengthens your position. There's no disputing that.
The photograph's position. What happens, though, when you look, I have to this little vignette in July at MUFON.
Uh-huh.
I'm standing at a table where MUFON said, hey, you come here and pay us a few $100, you can have a table here, but you're not going to speak. I said, fine. I'm standing in front of my little Billy Meier table, and a crusty middle-aged guy, probably a bit older than I am, comes over. And he's looking at stuff, and you can tell from that expression on his face, something's bugging him. He's got a stick. Well, anyhow, he's a little perturbed. And I said, sir, can I help you? He says, yeah, I'm into these UFOs, but this Meier case thing, oh, no way. I said, sir, what do you do? He says, I'm a retired judge. I said, oh, I see. So, sir, may I step into your courtroom for just a moment? And he caught it. Very sharp guy. I said, yeah, go ahead. I said, sir, if I say to you that NASA's claim that they are the first to identify and discover that the reason that the surface of Mercury is contracting is because of the metal core. If I say to you, Your Honor, that they're wrong, that my...
Oh. Lost you again. And that went dead. All right. Wow, that went dead. Interesting. Fade to black. Man, I'll tell you, I didn't want to get too emotional, but I found myself doing just that. And so I'm going to get me a cold drink of water. The number is 325. A couple of calls came in. I just couldn't get it. I just couldn't get the conversation to slow down. So go ahead and give us a call right back. We're going to take a little bit of a break. This is Fade to Black, Jimmy Church on the Dark Matter Radio Network. 325-825-5045. I have got a bunch of emails. So I'm just going to go and I'm going to read a bunch of them. We'll just rattle them off. And I'm looking here. There's probably 20 or 30. I'll be right back. Stay with us.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? My name's Brian Taylor, Ninja Badass Extraordinaire, and this is JimmyChurchRadio.com.
JJCR, in your face.
JimmyChurchRadio.com on the Dark Matter Radio Network.
Man, it got hot in here. Hot. Fade to Black, 325 or 323-825-5045. 323-825-5045. Give us a call. Lines are open right now, and I do. Skeptics out there, I've got so much email sitting in front of me. I haven't gotten, it just bam, 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 bam. And Michael is probably listening to us right now. It's 9:15, and that's thank you, Mike, for coming on. Mr. Horn, thank you. All right. And while we're waiting for some phone calls, I'm going to bang through a bunch of email really quick. I've got a couple of other things I wanted to get to tonight. But again, 323-825-5045. And I'm just going to open these up. And read. Hello from Brazil. Jimmy, please check the first photo on the second row. You can see behind the top of the ship where there's a fold on the black blanket. You know what made that? A wooden pole attached to the ship that someone is holding from behind the blanket. Come on. This is an obvious hoax. I'm a photographer. I know what I'm talking about. Love your show, Jimmy. All the best. From Marcello. So, Marcello, you're listening right now. Thank you. All right. That's interesting. Hold on. I want to go back and take a look. So he's talking about the black one. Okay, so he's talking about, everybody go to the second row, first picture. This is the one that's highlighted. Okay, and I'm looking at it, and that's a wrinkle. Okay, all right. I see what he's referring to. Somebody with a pole. Well, when you say it like that, now now it's kind of suggestive. So now I do see it. I didn't see that before. What I thought this was from before, and that's one of the reasons why I kept bringing up negatives, is I thought this was from a magazine article or the page was wrinkled in the magazine. But now that I look at it, I see exactly what you're referring to. But Marcello, man, I wish you would call into the show right now, because I have to ask, how would the street get into this picture? And from below with the contrast being raised. What I am going to do is I'm going to take this picture, because here at KJCR, we've got a few Photoshop experts, and one of them is sitting in the other room, and she knows what to do. So I want to take this picture and manipulate this, or have our expert here manipulate it and see if we can raise these the stuff in the background here, and which would indicate with me that this picture was probably naturally darkened to take that background out of the background. Possible. I'm not saying anything, but that would be entirely possible. All right. 323-825-5045. Staying on these pictures. Michael is gone. I'm sure he's listening. And there was a couple of things. And I don't want to apologize, but I have to. I don't mean to get so direct, but I want questions answered directly too. Don't skate around. These very simple questions that I'm asking, very simple to answer, and instead of dancing around the negatives question, and I kept going back to it, but tell me he lost them. Tell me they were stolen. Tell me they got burned up in a fire, but don't tell me that you don't know, or don't tell me that you don't care. Don't do it. Don't do it. All right. We got a couple calls coming in. Let's just grab one live, unscreened. Let's go. All right. You are live on the air. Who's calling?
Hello.
Hello. You're live. Yep, you're live on the air right now. Who's calling?
This is Ed Williams in Helena, Montana.
Okay, Ed Williams.
This is sure. I was wondering who was going to bust who first.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. And we've got a bunch of calls behind you, so go ahead.
I wanted to comment again on that second photograph because I do photography also. I do nighttime photography and macro. And
I wanted to get your name really quick. Ed, you said?
Yeah, I'm Ed up in Helena, Montana.
Okay, Ed, go ahead. I'm sorry.
On that first photograph on the second row, when it was saying it was a blanket with a pole behind it.
Yep.
What I want you to look at is, if a flash was used, look at the light on the saucer. It's evenly distributed on the saucer.
Yep.
But if you look down at the post, the light is only on the left, as if the light is coming from the left across the ground.
Right. Oh, I
That's a
see what
blend.
you're saying. Ah. Ed,
Okay.
you are
I was
good.
looking at that, and I was looking at some of the other photographs, and that one stood out. But I was more interested in getting on the prophecy. Although I did like to comment on the wedding cake, and I was hoping you'd just take the trash can, lay it, turn it upside down, dump the wedding cake, and get onto the prophecy. But I love the show. You're doing a great job.
Yeah, well, thank you, Ed.
Hold up the bell for us.
We're all on the same bell page, and so. But anyway, with the wedding cake picture, what do you see? You're a photographer. Do you see the same thing that I keep referring to? It looks.
Yeah, you're talking about the scale. Yeah, and usually, when I'm doing landscape or something like that, I use a Canon 2470 lens. It's usually most professional photographers use it as a general lens. And what I'm looking at is the background of the image more than the foreground. That's to give me my scale on it. But what I always look at is the very bottom of the picture. And the very bottom of the picture is kind of rough. And that's telling me that the scale is probably what you said it was. It looks small.
It's not that... it's not for me, Ed. I'm just being, and I don't want to sound like I'm trying to make this very trivial or innocent. But my eyes tell me I'm looking at something that I'm holding up in front of my nose. That's what. That's it. That's it.
The next picture, third picture on the second row. That gives you an enlargement,
right?
Of the. Well, I guess what they call the Christmas ornaments.
Right.
But look at the ring, the metal band. Looks like a tubular band going around.
The brass band.
Oh, no, okay, not the Christmas ornaments. Go below the Christmas
ornaments.
Oh,
that
mounted
band.
on
I got you.
It looks like a metal ring, right?
Uh-huh.
You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 square pieces attached to it, correct?
Right.
Okay, now look at it. They're mounted to a curved surface. They look like just pieces of typical craft shop jewelry that you get. And if you know anything about engineering or background, because my college, I'm a disabled veteran, and the VA sent me to college for engineering.
Right.
And, you got rational design in structures, especially living structures, aircraft, ships, and there's nothing rational to it. There's nothing rational to design. There's nothing rational to
and there should
create energy.
Well, exactly. There shouldn't be anything rational because it's not.
Well, no, that's
correct.
What I'm saying. You look at the rings. I don't really know if you remember when we were kids in school, because you're probably, in fact, if I remember right, you are pretty close to my age.
So you're a youngster.
School, we used to have those craft classes where we did like the copper and stuff like that, and we enameled it and stuff like that.
Yep.
Okay, now those little square pieces, those look like those little ashtrays and stuff that we used to enamel and take home to our moms and dads.
Well, this is I didn't want to be too confrontational with Michael because again he's a man out there on his own trying to fight the good fight, and he hears all the negative stuff all the time. So I needed to tone that down. Plus, I'm a Billy Meier fan. Let's make that. I love the pictures.
I love the prophecy part of it.
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to hear more of that.
But
but let
me
hear
just
more of the prophecy part of it. I didn't give a hoot about the ships.
Well,
I wanted to get to what was relevant now for us if the prophecy was that relevant.
And well, I don't know if Michael will ever come on this show again after that. I hope. But anyway, the thing, this is something that nobody's ever mentioned. But you know what these balls remind me of? With the brass rings? They remind me of the cheap necklace jewelry that you get.
The first time I looked at them, I was looking at my mother was Japanese.
Well, you know what I'm talking about? Almost like in the Mardi Gras or in downtown New Orleans, kind of like that. Or it's got that vibe to me. It's not Christmas ornament. I think this is much smaller. I think.
But
because
if
these are
craft shows or go to any craft fairs or anything like that, you can find every piece here at the craft fair. You want to bet me? I'll bet you $50 for lunch.
Las Vegas wouldn't take that bet, Ed. Are you kidding?
I'm serious, a heart attack. Not like I'd want one, but I'd pay for the lunch.
And so when I look at this, I wanted to ask you. My producer just told me to quit saying balls. Oh man. But I had one other question. This came in on an email. So I wanted to throw this out at you because you just brought this up, which was, I think it was this one. I lost it. Maybe it was this
old
one.
age.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I have. Oh yeah. Okay, here it is, right here. No, I'm serious. I literally got 50 emails here and I haven't had a chance to read them all. And reading them cold on the air sometimes can be a mistake because I don't know what I'm reading. But this one came in and said, if the prophecies are so important for humanity, why isn't there more than one Billy Meier prophet? In other words, why is he the only one that they are speaking through? Why wouldn't they have one speaking in Turkish? Why wouldn't they have one in India? Why wouldn't they have one speaking Canadian? Why wouldn't they have one?
It would be a surge. Again, we go to what's rational. What's rational, and if these people, what is it, the Pleiadians?
Yes.
If they were, now it's not that I don't believe in extraterrestrials or extraterrestrial intelligence, but if something like this was going to actually occur, I believe it would occur en masse. That's my personal opinion. And I believe it would happen all over. It's kind of like it goes down in Hollywood. It happens kind of en masse. That way, there's no mistaking it. And that way, it's not just going to happen where the people in power, the people that think they're blue ribbon holders or blue ticket holders, have got control of it and can control the information. That's my opinion, though.
Well, no, that to me makes sense, and it's sensible. And if you're representing,
always, that's why I like listening to you and Art Bell and them, is because sometimes the truth is obvious. It's plainly obvious. It's like, why does this not compute? Why is this not happening here or there? I can respect people having their opinions and saying, well, this person is this, and this,
Right.
But every time somebody says, well, this person was the Christ, well, how many people were the Christ?
Right.
I need to, I need to start digging more into the information. That's why I want to hear more about the prophecies, because that's something that I can investigate that might have more substance to it.
Well,
I'm
going to throw this out there at you. Oh, by the way, while I was talking to you, Ed, like 2 or 3 calls came in. Go ahead and call back, and we'll see if we can get your calls coming back or get you on before the end of the show. But let me ask you this, because this is my point back to Michael at the beginning of the interview, which is this. I understand you want to talk about the prophecies. Not only Michael, but you, Ed. I get that. I understand that. But what has made everybody upset, the reason why Billy Meier is talked about today, 40 years after, 30, 40 years later, is because of the photographs. That's what people think about when they think about Billy Meier. Now, I want you to turn back time. Do you remember how you were affected by the first time you saw a Billy Meier photograph? Do you remember how it hit you? Tell me about it, because I know you do.
It was not really shocking to me. Actually, it was odd. It was like, that doesn't look right. It doesn't look right, because I remember the first time I seen a UFO. The first time I seen a UFO photograph was before I seen a UFO. I seen an actual photograph from a family friend, because he was showing it to me because he was tickled because he had this photograph. And the man passed away since then. He was a good family friend. He was a reporter for the Gazette-Telegraph in Colorado Springs, Colorado, Ray Hurst. And it was at the Garden of the Gods. And that stuck with me ever since. So I've had this impression that there's form follows function in reality. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Well,
okay.
Go ahead.
So when I see people portraying ships that look outrageous and there's no explanation, they can't explain it, or they don't want to explain it, or they can't present themselves with it, like they're saying they wrote on it and stuff like that.
Right.
But they got all this photographic evidence and everything.
Right.
But they're saying, but this is the reason why I'm showing you this, but you can't handle the truth.
Right.
Don't give me part of the X-Files, but not the ending of the episode.
Right. And that's a great... Well, I'm glad, because that's exactly how I feel. And right. I can't be the only one with that attitude. And when I hear that from somebody... Whether it doesn't matter from who, because you hear it. It's not only from Michael, but it's from other people try to use that excuse. That's what I wanted to say. Okay, that excuse.
I don't want to disrespect nobody. They could have their belief systems. A lot of people are infused with enough belief from one side of a story. It's going to carry over into another and give the impetus to continue on. The motivation to carry on and make a life out of it. If that's the case, that's the psychology behind it. I won't disrespect them for that. However, that doesn't mean that they have to get upset if I don't agree with it, It's time for that old Thorazine bump or something.
Well, but that's exactly right. And it's such a difficult subject.
I've been taught to be more rational, skeptic is not a bad word. It just says, I'm going to take a pause and look at this, because there might be a very long step off there. It's not the fall that hurts, it's the sudden stop.
Right. Also, there's one other thing, and let me, this came in on 2 or 3 different emails from 2 or 3 or 4 different people, all said the same thing, which I find hysterical. So let me throw this out at you. That if somebody was visiting our planet in a spaceship, it wouldn't be a spaceship that looked like this. This just doesn't look right. It looks fake.
No, just think of a Lamborghini Aventador J that's really jazzed up. That's what I'm expecting to see. But I was hearing you talk about that wheel that you might afford or something, but
right.
The truth is, we can't really imagine what it would look like. Not in reality, because it's like everybody's got their own favorite car, right?
Right.
And maybe the different races, for all practical intents and purposes, should they exist, have got their own models.
That's right.
But I don't think none of them are driving. I mean, I don't even think a Model T ever looked like this. So
Right. Well, but I've said this before. I don't know if you've heard me say this before, but it's really true. If you just look at planet Earth, forget about ETs, forget about them. Look at planet Earth. We have got so many different types of cars and planes and trains and ships. So many different, ships on the ocean. Forget about rockets. Well, we have all kinds. And so if you look at how many, look at a Lamborghini, look at a Volkswagen, but they both got 4 tires and a motor. But
well,
they're
what's
two.
amazing is this.
So, but how can we not expect?
Look at the. Here's what gets me. I don't think people realize this. Look at all the transportation we have. They all look different, but we are just finally getting to where the engines that we use in them is different. Finally.
Oh yeah. Well, and we have choices. We have electrics, we have hybrids.
We're going to have an engine that will revolutionize the world. When that happens, then things will start to change, because when we go from internal combustion, we're going to direct magnetics, okay, using magnetic flux, okay, then what's the next step regarding an engine or a motor?
Hydrogen, an atom,
no, we're
nuclear.
talking about propulsion here.
Nuclear, or you mean the actual mechanics of the engine itself?
Right.
How about
right.
how about ceramic magnets? What?
Really? Should some company that does government work like Schaefer Engineering, they're always coming out with whoopee stuff, coming out with an engine, something that'll revolutionize the world. You look at stuff like that, and you ponder where we are going. Sometimes I hear people talk about, in fact, you've had some guests talk about people that came from the future came back here, right?
Yep.
And that kind of makes me think about it, because when I remember, when we studied about Schrodinger's cat and stuff like that, and then we study time, space, if you remember in Star Trek, part of the theory was the warp roof, or the fabric of space, how it's interwoven. And I used to always joke with my friends, who are all old military guys, we always joked about the old saying, yesterday's science fiction is today's reality. Well, today's science fiction is going to be tomorrow's reality. And it's always held true. We've always been on those rails. So where are we going? How are we heading down those tracks? And that's what I like really seeing, is as long as we could stay on those tracks without too much conflict, I think we'll succeed in getting somewhere with a brighter future.
Well, I was talking, I don't know if you heard the show last night with Bob Schroeder, a truly amazing show and a truly amazing guy, and I had a great time with him. But there's one thing that I kept bringing up, and well, he brought it up too, but is this, and you just touched upon it right there. Today's science fiction is tomorrow's reality. Well, if you suggest an idea to a team of guys in a room, and it doesn't matter what the idea is, but you need a goal done. You need this car to be faster, or you need this, you need this plane to do, you need whatever it is, you need this phone to be quieter when you talk on it, whatever. You give them the suggestion and you get it done. Now, I need this phone to be on a wristwatch. Well, I don't know if we can do it. Well, but that's the idea. So let's get it done. Well, you put a team of guys on something and you get it done. And that's why when science fiction is there and you give somebody an idea, that's how it gets done. Because
what is it? Necessity is the mother of invention?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So now we know.
Okay, so what you're doing is you're imposing a situation upon a person where they have to get out of that situation. A person under pressure does better in creating something, because if you remember some of your guests that deal with psychic situations, clairvoyancy, and anything like that,
right?
When people are in those situations, they open up better, they channel better, the information better. That deals with another nature of man.
It's kind of like
how everything kind of ties in together. I'm a believer in the holographic universe. So, but I have a head injury from the service, so I learned to see things differently, and I've learned that things are actually different. I'm not joking.
I was going to say the pressure of some, it's like me on this show. The pressure of trying to get through a show. Sometimes something good comes out of the other
I'm really
end.
impressed that some of the people. I would have been looking for a bottle of Thorazine. With some of the guests, but you handle them quite well. It's impressive. It's kind of like going to school for me, listening to the teacher.
Well, it's just I want to learn, and you and I are the same age, and obviously you've listened to the show a lot, so you've heard me say this enough. But I grew up listening to AM radio in the Midwest. And there was nothing like AM radio after 12 at night, when your parents are in bed and you sneak the radio on, you try not to get caught, and you listen to it all night long. There was some crazy...
Yeah, I remember my little box radio my dad got me. He was in the Army, and he got me his little battery-powered box radio, and we were stationed there, or he was. We were there, Fort Huachuca, Arizona.
Right.
And we had some of the freakiest radio shows on late at night, but I would listen to them late at night.
And you learned something.
Yeah. Late night radio, I don't care. I didn't get really locked into late night until I started listening to Art Bell.
Okay.
And then I was hooked.
Well,
but then there were, I would say 60% of the people that came on to me were actually rational. They had topics that you could investigate. They realmed on the scientific, which is what I like. And, when I was in the service even, the guys were listening overseas to Art Bell, So...
Well, if there's a way, and I hope that what you're saying is, which is the mission of this show, is I need my
practical.
Yeah, I need my Art Bell fix. And so while he's
like you said, you consider it a blessing to be able to shoe in for him, and I think it is. I think it's great, and I think you're doing a good job. You're having the right guests. I like the way you started out the program about the boundary there when it comes to the guests. It's a matter of respect.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And,
yes.
And the old dog's got the territory.
Well, but
it's also, that's who you learn from. That's what we call old school.
Well, I'm glad.
And the thing of it is, we always go back to the people that we learned from. We always seek advice from them and everything. I still do it. I'm still learning myself. I'm always still learning because, science and technology. Since I can't work or anything anymore, that's all I do is study and research now. It's like that's all my brain's got anything to do with anymore. So
what you're telling me, Ed, is that what I've been trying, what I'm hoping that everybody is hearing and understanding and getting and absorbing is it's actually working, and people are listening, and they're hearing me in that context, because that's the most important part of the show.
You're starting to get out there. If people like myself are listening, then that means other people like myself are listening. We're not just deadbeats. It's just we're listening.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
I finally picked up the phone because a photographer called in. He made a comment about the picture, and I was looking at the picture going, well, yeah, because like a doofus, I've used a blanket before as a background. I used an umbrella shade that worked better as a background,
right.
in my photography, because there's all kinds of tricks we use for photography, and it was like, I got to back this guy up because he's right.
Well, I saw that, but I was making an excuse for what I was seeing. I thought it was a wrinkle in the page of a magazine or something. That's what I thought.
Well, how come there's not a wrinkle in the wedding cake, and how come the light on the post below it's coming from the left, but the light on the wedding cake is evenly distributed?
Right. Smack in front of it. Yep, right in the middle. You're absolutely right. I didn't notice.
You got a discrepancy right there. The only solid dark space you got is immediately below it, where it clips the top of that pole. If you got no negatives, you don't got nothing to compare it to. So there's nothing for comparison or contrast.
Hey, Ed.
So immediately, I would kick that, and if it was on my viewer, I would kick it out.
Hey, Ed, stay with me. I'm gonna take a quick commercial break. Just stay with me. We're gonna roll out here together, okay? And I'm just gonna.
All right.
Okay.
Man, it's that late already. My God.
Yeah. It's this is KJCR. Got Ed from Montana. Ed, thank you for calling in. By the way, call in anytime.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ed. You have a great night.
You too.
Tomorrow's
Bye-bye.
going to be good. Don't miss it. KJCR, JimmyChurchRadio.com. Back right after this. Don't touch that mouse.
This is William from La Crescenta, and I listen to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Jimmy Church. My name is Alan, and I listen to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
He's always giving it to you straight.
JimmyChurchRadio.com on the Dark Matter Radio Network.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio, the revolution.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Fade to Black. KJCR on the Dark Matter Radio Network. Today's Thursday. Tomorrow. Wow. Tomorrow's going to be amazing. Thank you, Ed, for that phone call. And there were like 4 phone calls came in back to back. I'd almost read them off. And then somebody else just sent me an email, Jimmy, call me back. Well, I can't. I understand he called in. And then you send in an email. It doesn't quite work that way. I barely can chew gum and walk. So, but anyway, do you think I was hard on Michael Horn? I mean, I don't think that I was I? I have issues with not answering questions. And somebody, I mean, he brought it up a couple of times. And also it was in an email. If this was in court, you know, it's a yes or no answer. It's a yes or no answer. Just let's get to the chase so we can move on. I don't want to spend 30, 45 minutes talking about negatives that don't exist because, you know, I've got to listen to 45 different angles on an answer. So, yeah, I was getting a little frustrated, and I hope it didn't come across that way. But again, he's a guest on this show. He's a guest, you know, and so it's called respect. And I hope that I didn't let that respect slip. My producer here at the studio texted me during the, Jimmy, you're yelling at him. Stop it. And I apologize for that. Seriously, anybody out there that feels that I came across that way, I didn't mean to. It was just frustrating, and it just seemed like every time we were at the possibility of an answer, the phone went dead mysteriously, or it started crackling, or there was rustling, or there was this, or there's a fade out, a disconnection. That interview was disconnected 3 times, or was it 4? And it's very, very frustrating. And I just felt like maybe I was just too rough, and he couldn't hang, and Michael had to bail on me. That's a possibility. Maybe it was a serious, honest disconnections of the phone, possibly. But every time we came back, and I went back to that question and tried to get an answer, I got another dance. And when somebody does that to me, I get frustrated. Whether it's on this show or it's out in the street, it's all the same thing. Let's give me a straight answer. You, and I'm speaking to everybody out there listening to me, you would expect the same respect when you are talking to somebody else. Just give me the answer. How much is 2 and 2? Well, you know, I was driving down the road yesterday. I don't want to hear that. Is it 4 or not? That's it. That's it. Man. So anyway, all right. Had a couple of things I wanted to talk about. We are at the end of the show again. Had a lot of fun tonight, though. Actually, in a very weird, crazy, strange sort of way. I did want to address one thing really quick, and that talked about it at the beginning of the show, and that is the ET photographs that are posted online. Okay, I want opinions. I want everybody to go and take a look at those. They're in the Bob Schroeder Gallery, JimmyChurchRadio.com on home. Just go, scroll down, go to the galleries. I put brief explanations underneath each picture so you know what you're looking at. There's a total of 10, which means there's 5 pictures with a match to it, with a mate in pairs. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Okay, one on the left, hoax. One on the right is what it really is. Descriptions are there. I'm going to get a string going in the gallery or in the forum, and if it hasn't been done already, and as I always do, I'll jump in after the show tonight. But get a thread string, get a thread going in the forum, and I just want to start to get opinions on this. The photographs will always be up there. But go and check it out, and I want your opinions. I really honestly do. And also tell me if you knew from the word go when you first looked at it that, I would like that opinion too as well. But I want to know if you were snowed. I do, because I was. Okay? So, I just want to know. Did you get sucked in, and are you bummed out now? I just want your opinions. Please, let's get a thread going on the forum. Shoot me some emails, and I've got another probably 3, 4, 5 additional things that I may put up in the forum, additional possible hoaxes, and I'll get your opinions on those. All right, so moving on from that. Bart Cyberill will be tomorrow night. Now, Bart is, aside from what just happened on tonight's show with Michael Horn, Bart Cyberill tomorrow, equally as controversial of a subject, but will be a lot easier of a discussion. Bart is an amazing guy, very smart, and an award-winning director, very well-spoken guy, knows what's going on. And not only has he acted in, he's had 300, 400, 500 acting roles, but he's an award-winning editor and director, and knows photography, knows he knows that process of everything. But the breakthrough and the stuff that he found out that caused him to go down that path with the Apollo hoax stuff and get punched by Buzz Aldrin is fascinating, because he knows what he's looking at and he knows what he's seeing, and now he's questioning things, and because of that, he is able to put together this presentation and documentary that is absolutely outstanding. Now, I said on last night's show, I'm an American. I want to believe that what I saw in 1969 as a child at my Aunt Helen and Uncle Bob's house in Mundelein, Illinois, was indeed the lunar module landing on the surface of the moon, and I'll never forget that. But the evidence that is out there now, the evidence is crazy. It's absolutely nuts. And so tomorrow night, it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful show, and we'll be able to just go back and forth. And I get the emails going now. We'll see if we can take some calls tomorrow night. I would love to do that. Until then, I just will say to everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for the success of this show. Thank you, Keith, for allowing me to sit in for Mr. Bell until he returns. And I still want to keep the job, by the way. If I'll get him his coffee. Can we do that? All right. Coming up next, we have Spooky South Coast with Tim Weisberg, one of the coolest guys out there. And if you ever get the chance, write Tim an email or tweet him and ask him why he didn't iron his shirt in the movie. And if you don't get it, you don't have to. You only have to say it. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Special thanks to Keith Rowland, Faded Black's executive producers, Rita Kumarian. Show's produced by Hilton J. Palm and Mark D. Kovar. Announcers are Steve Harder and Mark D. Kovar. Music is by Doug Aldrich. You're listening to him right now. We are going to have Doug Aldrich. I'm going to get his stuff on iTunes up on the website. And if you go down to the bottom of the homepage, we've got a bunch of iTunes. We're now an affiliate with Apple. Support the show. Go click. Go buy something. Faded Black is produced by KJCR and the Dark Matter Radio Network. I am your host, Jimmy Church. See you tomorrow night. Bye-bye now. Bye.
Wow.